Okay, everybody is in?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Mute. Very good evening, everyone. Welcome all to Sneak Kriya Foundation. I hope everybody is in, and everybody please mute yourself. I can hear the noise. Okay, welcome again to SNIC. SNIC is Special Needs Integration Center. We are based in Nagpur. Our main motto to provide a conducive environment for children with special need so as to facilitate their development, education, and help them to develop their potential to the fullest and enhance their independence. So they should be well adapted in the society. For that, we are coming up with various projects under one roof. Here, our motto is to educate the parents and develop their perspective towards the right kind of interventions and treatment. Today, we have a topic that why after so many efforts, despite of taking so many efforts, why do I fail as a parent to develop my child? So for that, we have well-known occupational therapist, Dr. Sumit Shinde from Child Rehabilitation Center, Mumbai. He'll guide us on this topic. Welcome, Dr. Sumit Shinde. Over to you, sir.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Great, a great evening to everyone. We are on a row. We are on a sequence of autism talks, parenting talks, and it's a wonderful field to share the experience. It's a wonderful field to share the knowledge, the insights to you all throughout this webinar series. And today we have landed up to this topic, which is very unpopular in my mind, which is very unpopular may become unpopular for many people, but definitely it will populate your mind. If it populates your mind properly, then definitely I can help without touching a child or without talking to any person or any parent. I can help many parents to help develop their children as per their wishes, and definitely they can come over all their fears without touching and without giving any guidance. If you understand today's topic properly, then believe me, nothing is impossible in this world for a positive mind and for with right strategies and right mindset. If we go to face any problem, then nothing is impossible in this world. So today I'm just taking it in a anti way. So far we discussed about various topics. We discussed that let me share those things. What all sessions we have taken. I'll just stop sharing and then I'll go to SNIC webinars topics. So we discussed about autism development in adulthood. We discussed about autism treatment perspective. What exactly the treatment or mindset is supposed to be there in when we deal. When I especially take this lecture on my therapist or various therapists, what kind of a mindset you should have when you are treating an autism child, or what kind of a different approaches, different knowledge you should develop inside you, or different attitudes you should develop inside you when you treat autism. Then we discussed about on a parent's demand. I discussed few glimpses of my professional lecture series called Social Communication Development in Autism. So we discussed it for the Marathi and Hindi speaking population. That is communication, how to develop communication in autism. Where we discussed the speech is not important, but the communication is very important in autism, because autism is a communication dysfunction, is not not a speech disorder. Then we discussed about we had a wonderful webinar on how to develop sitting tolerance, that where at the end we understood sitting tolerance is nothing but it's a jargon. It's all about how the child is involved in a particular thing with respect to his interest, and by using that interest, how you can add the developmental aspects when the child is performing a particular activity, rather than giving attention to the sitting tolerance and then attention of the child. We should use the child's interest, use the preoccupations, use the fixations of the child into a right developmental strategies. So how to develop a sitting tolerance, that was a very different lecture. I think many parent called me that it was a different perspective. Then we discussed about how unresolved ADHD affects child's personality. That was a pure topic for only for ADHD people. Then we discussed about online schooling and ADHD, sensory integration in ADHD, sensory integration therapy in autism. What exactly sensory integration therapy is in a child development perspective, not a dysfunction perspective, because everything is sensory integration. If you say everything is OT, everything is an occupation. Right now, my occupation is a speaker, your occupation is you're a listener. Maybe when I go out after this lecture, my occupation will become a father or a family head, and I'll take everybody restaurant. So every time we are carrying a kind of an occupation. So every time our child is also carrying a kind of an occupation, we need to understand that occupation, and now we have to develop the child in that through that occupation, and which is majorly called as a play. So we discussed about sensory integration in autism and how we can develop the child in that. Then tantrums and meltdowns was a very nice topic, which I got many calls from parents about what is the difference between tantrums and meltdowns, when the therapy should stop, when the therapy should start, when I can start my child's schooling, why my child shows a particular behavior. There's so many behaviors which are there, which we call under the autism. We say this is autism and this is ADHD. But believe me, they are not autism. They come because of certain needs are not fulfilled, or certain perspective the parents has, or always the parents look the child into the goggles of autism, and everything becomes autism for the parents. So why my child shows a particular behavior, it's not about a child's inability, it's about a parent is not able to understand the different needs of the child. So many things, and I thought I will take 1 or 2 webinars and then I'll move ahead. But yes, I'm enjoying it to discuss the important gist of my experiences in last whatever I developed in last 14 years of pediatric occupational therapy. Right from a scratch, from an observer to a head of a biggest team in all over Maharashtra, like more than 60 therapists are working under my guidance, and more than 4,000 people. When I see, or when you see at least minimum 800 children from A to Z kind of a treatment, I feel I'm enjoying this to share all these things. And today we are at a topic that is why I failed to develop my child, despite of so much of efforts, बहुत सारे efforts लेने के बाद भी मैं अपने बच्चे को डेवलप करने में कहाँ पर असक्षम हो जाता हूँ, और where I fail to
पानी का टेस्ट वैसे हो गया ना, ये लोकल पानी का ना.
This particular topic is not about a techniques, is not about occupational therapy, it's not about a child with autism. It's all about a mindset. I'm going to discuss about. It's not about technique. You didn't do a right techniques. I may share the techniques in between, but it's not about if you are thinking that I didn't do the ball exercises properly, or not doing I didn't make them do puzzle properly, then my child is not developing. That's not the perspective at all today. It's all about a mindset where I fail inside my mind to develop my child, or what unknowingly happens in the journey of child development. In that journey, I am very much concerned about my child's development. I'm very much concerned about his future. I'm very much concerned about his performances. I'm very much concerned about me and my stress also. But still I take a lots of efforts, but yet I'm not able to get what actually I wanted. I'm not able to seek that happiness uh, which I was eagerly waiting for. कि कभी तो वो सूरज उगेगा और then I will see my child developing. I will see my developed child. So there is always, whenever I take a consultation and about or assessment of a child, at the end I get one question: कि, will he lead to a normal life, or will he go to a school, or will he lead to a independent life? Or these are the the beyond the horizon based expectations comes in front of me, and then sometimes we have to be diplomatic and we have to explain them ki it's not about what is kept beyond that. It's about all about what is kept in front of me right now, because tomorrow we are not seeing. What we are seeing is today my child is not giving eye contact. In next 1 month, if I do something, if I do certain techniques, if I follow the right way, if I follow the right guidance, then I can develop my child's eye contact and my child will start recognizing me. That should be our motto. But लेकिन ये जो क्वेश्चंस होते हैं पेरेंट्स के माइंड में, और दिस क्वेश्चंस इनसाइड द पेरेंट्स माइंड ऑलवेज क्रैश देयर माइंड एंड डिस्टॉर्ट्स them or you all, so that we are not able to enjoy today. And I have found out some kind of reasons. I found out the commonmost reasons. I think there is one parent who's unmuted, so can you please mute yourself?
कह रहा है अनम्यूट, अब म्यूट करो।
आरती आप प्लीज म्यूट करेंगे, डिस्टर्बिंग द फ्लो।
म्यूट कर दे, वो कह रहे हैं डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है मुझे।
For me, hearing this particular noise is always a familiar. But right now we are into the occupation of a lecture, so let's understand. Let's follow this rule. Everybody should be muted. So today it's all about, we are going to sit in a helicopter and we are going to observe ki when the failure comes, when I become a winner and when I become a failure, or why I should become a winner, or when I should how I can dodge those failures even in my hard work. Many people say for becoming a successful you need to do a lot of hard work. But अगर हार्ड वर्क करके अगर कोई सक्सेस होता, या अगर कोई ज्यादा सक्सेसफुल होता, तो वो जो बोरियां उठाते हैं और जो मथाड़ी वर्कर्स होते हैं, they would have become more successful, because they are doing the maximum most hard work every day. They are carrying this thing. So it's not about a hard work, it's about a mindset of every person to become a successful, be it in a profession, be it in your examinations, be it in your child development, be in your relations, or be it in your in a day-to-day living. It's all about mindset. It's all about doing the or following the right strategy. So let's sit in a helicopter, and I don't want you to look at it in a individualistic perspective, but I just want you to take this lecture as a very rational perspective, in a rational way, so that it will be more easier to populate our mind in the right way. So I think still a few people are unmuted. So there are certain points I have identified with respect to parenting, where we are not able to do right things. I'm not saying where we are wrong, because nobody is wrong in this world. Nobody's even a child who got 0 marks in his examinations is not wrong. He didn't understand, or he was not knowing what to write, but he was not wrong. He didn't perform it to fail. He always performed, or everybody in this world always performed to get maximum success. But in that performances, there are a lot of contaminations happens, or a lot of mindsets gets affected, and those mindsets actually reduces the success rate in our performances. So I identified those those factors which may reduce or which do reduce the success rate in our child's development. The सबसे पहले चीज आती है, that is expectations versus perception. You know, my expectations are like my child should write. You know, I would like to come to the straight away topic because there is a lot to speak today. So my expectation is my child should write. That's why I seek an occupational therapist or maybe a remedial educator. My child is not speaking at this moment. What I see is my expectation. What is not there, and that I have to develop. That is my expectation. So my child is not speaking. My child is not writing. My child is not giving eye contact. My child is not. He's having certain. He's not walking in terms of certain physical motor dysfunctions. My child is not greeting. My child is not playing. So there are so many things which I see which is not happening. So automatically my mind creates a kind of an expectation that this should happen, you know, and for that particular thing, I seek, or some referral or some doctor says you have to go to a therapist, and let's start. There is only one option, that is therapy. So a parent comes with an expectation that my child should write, my child should speak, my child should play with other kids, or he should develop social interaction. In that, what happens, you know, the therapist or the doctors, you know, diagnose the child with a term called autism. In that phase, my concerns remains aside, you know, and I get more preoccupied with some kind of a jargon, that is autism and this falana things. We will discuss definitely. And my concerns becomes more superficial, that how I'm going to work on autism, you know. So my concern was my child is not playing in other kids, my child is not writing, and those concerns were right, those expectations were right. But later on it becomes more cluster, and what I went to the therapist and what I'm seeing at the therapist, that the parent gets confused, and that's what called as the expectation versus perception. So I want my child should write in examinations, you know, but that is my expectation. That's why I went to the therapist. But the therapist said that in the evaluation, the therapist saw that he's not even identifying the few letters also. He's not developed adequate hand movements. And why he's not developed the hand movements? Maybe he's not developed the adequate eye-hand coordination. At the same time, there's a body awareness is a lag, or the child is not able to hear the sound of those letters also properly. So there is a lot of auditory perception issues, or maybe the child is having a visual perception issue. The therapist will create a remedy, okay, to do certain exercises. Now, what the parent has went with the expectation that my child is not writing. So in his mind, you know, it was there that therapist will do, make him give him some pencil or pen, and then he will hold his hand and he will make him write, and next 10 days or next 15 days my child will start writing. That is an expected kind of a treatment in the parent's mind. But exactly when I look into the therapy room, therapist is giving him ball exercises, or therapist is asking the child to walk on a balance beam, or the therapist is making him climb the ladder, you know. And then what happens is, I wanted him to write, and this doctor is making him climb the ladder. I'm not able to create the connection between these two, and then I lose the hope over here. I lose the connection with the treatment over here, and then I get distracted. This is the very simple reason I have seen in the very new parents, when they are not aware about the problem, when they are not aware about the remedies also, they lose the hope, and then they seek a kind of a person who will follow the treatment as per their expectations, and then the so-called therapist or so-called educator or so-called a person will hold the child's hand and will keep doing it for next 2 years, you know, keep doing it for next 2 years, and lot of adaptations and lot of these things. And in this phase, the child loses the important time to develop his adequate skills because of lack of sensory processing, or lack of body awareness, or lack of we can say the regulation, and a number of things. I don't want to go on over there. And in that, the child becomes 6 years, and then the parent comes out. I have done a lot of things. I have taken him for a lot of sessions, but he did not develop. Okay, this is the first thing, and very common thing happens in the parents, that my child is not doing this, so he should be helped in holding the pencil, and he should write in exams, but somewhere the assessments the parents never understand, or parents don't understand, and then there is the lack of faith happens in this, called as expectation and perceptions. So there is one more example I'll say. If is there any parent? Harshali madam, can you please unmute yourself? Yes, unmute yourself. Yes, I want to ask you a question. Okay. Now this is exactly what is the expectation and perception. Okay. So you want to go to Delhi, and you want to go there in the morning. You have to reach there at 10 o'clock. Okay. It's night. Let us say 10 o'clock. You are at Nagpur. Okay. So you catch a flight, and the flight is going to take around 2 hours from Nagpur, and it's going to take you there at 3 o'clock. Let us say, and you reach to Delhi and you do your work. But during the flight, the attendants were not did not follow as per your expectations. You didn't get adequate sleep. You didn't get the food what they said. Okay, there was a person who was sitting beside you was having his own mannerisms or something like that. So you had some troubles. Okay, so okay, and next day 10 o'clock you go for the meeting. All right. Now next set you do in the next month you go for a meeting to Delhi, and you catch a Rajdhani Express. Let us assume. Okay. You catch at 10 o'clock, let's say 10:30, you catch the train, you reach there at 10 o'clock. You are a bit late for that meeting. You reach to the meeting at 11 o'clock. But in that train, you got all the food, nice AC, everything was nice, everything was fine, everything was as per your expectation, like water, Rajdhani. Okay. Now, when you are talking in your family, how's your meetings are going on, and then what you will say, the planes, the traveling is pathetic. To Delhi to travel by train is pathetic. You cannot imagine how these people behave with you at night. They don't give you this thing. Something you expected in your mind, which is supposed to happen on the flight, this didn't happen. And second thing, you say that Rajdhani Express is amazing. Oh God, what kind of a service they give! Fantastic service. But exactly what was your motto, madam?
To reach in a peaceful mind.
To reach there, to reach to the meeting.
Meeting.
Okay, you wanted to catch the meeting. Okay.
Yes.
You wanted to attend that meeting. The meeting was nice. The meeting happened very nicely. But so, what was your actual destiny? To attend a meeting.
Meeting. Okay? Yes. Yeah.
But after 1 month, you will be preoccupied with how the pathetic flight
journey
and how nice Rajdhani is.
Yes.
So this is called as expectations versus perception. I want to develop my child, but I see who is the therapist. Okay, is that therapist is going to follow my expectations or no? Okay, and then how was the therapy room? I get many calls. I don't take those calls also. We want to see your therapy room before we want to start with the treatment. I mean, is the therapy room is going to make some kind of a jadoo or something like that? I see that. So expectation is I want to see the nice therapy room, but ideally the concern is my child's development. So this is the problem. The concern is a child development. Expectation, I want to see a nice therapy room, or maybe I want to have a webcam in the therapy room so that I will see everything. How nicely the child is doing, how nicely the therapist is doing, that is not the concern. I just want to see. Since I was not allowed, so I stopped therapy. for 3 years. And then I reached to the therapist again after 3 years. I came to you 3 years back, but now I have this concern. I started, and then I asked why did you stop? The parent knows what my concern was different, my expectation was different. So as per my expectations, I took a wrong turn, and I'm coming to you after 3 years with the same concerns in my mind. My child is still there. So this is the first thing, that expectations versus perception. I hope parents have understood. See, the therapy room, the therapy area, the distance for the therapy, the person who's taking the therapy, or the anything, everything is secondary. The very primary is whether my child's developmental goals are achieving in the given time or no. There are many parents, no, I just want a lady therapist. I will not allow my child to take a male therapist. Expectation is I should have a male therapist. Concern becomes the male therapist doesn't know how to hold, how to treat the child. Ladies are more these things. So I kept looking for the ladies therapist, and in that phase, I lost an important time. I saw so many. It's not about a ladies therapist, gen therapist, but I'm just talking about a divergence. That everybody's mind gets the preoccupied minds. आपके जब माइंड जब प्री ऑक्यूपेशंस होते हैं तो वो आपको अलग अलग दिशा में लेके जाता है और वो आपको राइट गोल की तरफ नहीं लेके जाता है. So this is the first most thing I feel, which is the factor which is take the parent away from the therapies. Sorry, not the therapist, away from the child developmental goal, because of a lot of what they expected in their mind, and what they are getting is not as per their perceptions. With the flight, you were supposed to reach for the meeting, you had a wonderful meeting, you did everything right over there, but still Rajdhani is best because it gave me a very nice. So ultimately, the what we see is the comfort or what things, rather than what efforts we were supposed to take, and what we were supposed to, where we were supposed to reach. That's the first thing I feel. There are so many queries. You have any query with respect to that? Anybody has a query? So yes, right. There's a very nice query over here. Therapists spend an hour with a child for hours and hours. Let's not say 6 months, let's say 3 years. Therapists spend. But before going to the therapist, we have to understand whomever is going to take my child, is he experienced? Is he having adequate experience? Is he having adequate knowledge? Is he giving the proper answers to my remedy of my concerns? And very, very important, is he keeping the goals in a short-term phase to develop or to overcome my concerns? Or is my child going to one step ahead to overcome his concerns? That's very important. But most of the time what happens is our direction goes to how the therapies are happening. Our direction goes to how the therapies are happening rather than how my child is developing. That's more important. Okay. So next query is focusing more upon weaknesses than the strengths. This is something which is again that I feel is a factor for lagging in the child's development, is focusing more upon weaknesses. He or she is not sitting in a classroom. That is the weakness.
One concern in chat box is like nowadays every fourth person opening therapy center with staff. She wants to say that authenticity we have to check. That's why so much expectations maybe.
Yes, I feel I worked for 3 years before starting CRC. I would like to give you a kind of a mindset over here. And I was very much skeptical whether I should do it or not. Almost 3 to 4 years, I worked in any number of centers and understood this thing. And the day I came to know that I can take a right decision in this child development sector, and I am at least reached to the professional level over here. I can go ahead with the therapy center. Okay, so next is so second weakness is he's not okay. So the weakness is all about she's not sitting in the classroom, but the strength the parent loses to understand that he's able to sit for 5 minutes and complete an activity on his own. So why don't I use that 5 minutes to cover the developmental aspect, like how can intervene in that 5 minutes, how I can interact in those 5 minutes so that maximum interaction will help my child to transfer my abilities to the child. Now, this is very important for the therapist also and for the parent also. He use those 5 minutes as a maximum. Most of the time, no, you should sit for 30 minutes. So, the teacher has asked to make him sit for 30 minutes and then he should sit for, but here again, we have to go back to the expectations versus perception, where the child's abilities doesn't matter. Here, what matters is this classroom expectation where the child is supposed to sit, without understanding the perception where the child's abilities are matching with that classroom or no. And that's what the second kind of expectation, that my child should sit in the classroom for 4 hours sit for the 4 hours in the classroom, and then he should attend the class. But actual perception, actual assessment says that he cannot sit at home for the more than 5 minutes, but still we will follow our expectation and we will make him sit for 4 hours over there, and then we will try to create a kind of a support system, such as a shadow teacher, or such as the parent wants to sit with the child, or the parent expect the teacher should make some do adjustment, or the school should do certain adjustments for the child. And then what happens? The school also do certain adjustments by creating a special room for the child, because school cannot occupy the child who's just running here and there in a typically going classroom, and then they develop a special room for that child, and then later on parents also come back and say, my child is abandoned in the school. But here again, from where it began from expectations versus perception. My expectation, my child should go to school and he should do all the things, but is my child enough developed awareness about his own family? Is he aware about his own surroundings or no? Is he developed that kind of abilities to mingle in the surroundings or no? Is he developed enough receptive communication so that he can follow commands or no? Is he developed enough skills so that he can go in the classroom and he will start operating from his skills? Okay, believe me, it's the normal school going age is 3 years, but before 3 years, a typically developing child has developed all the skills and all the things so that he can be separated from the parents for 4 hours. But most of our kids are actually operating from, let us say, social age 1.5 years or 2 years. In that, the child is not able to adapt those situations. Child shows a lot of issues in the schools, and then what follows is every parent starts working something so that he will sit in the classroom, or start searching for a good school, start searching for the good environment and all, forgetting that where my child is operating from his strengths. This is more important, and that's why the parents' expectations and child's abilities does not meet. I discuss this most of the time in my play and communication lectures in depth. What are the actually parents' abilities and what are the child's abilities, and how we can match it, so that gap remains. Or jab tak ye gap rahega, tab tak you will do a lot of hard work. You are sitting with the child for 6 hours, but the child will reach only from here to here. But if I understand my child's strengths and my child's what my child is operating from, then the parent can come to the his perception level, the child's perception level, and definitely they can achieve from here to here. And this happens. I've seen so many parents. I've seen more than 60% population follows this, and then definitely they move ahead very fast. And sometimes the autism therapy does not go beyond 1 year also. Especially in the early intervention phase of development. But in the later stages, let us say after 4 years, after 5 years, sometimes that period goes ahead. But if the parent follows the first point, that is what my perception is, my child is not mingling. So what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to make changes in myself, that is I have to meet his play development, his play level, and then I will move ahead. So this I feel is a very, very important. These two factors are matching with each other, where despite of lot of efforts, why my child is not developing, because every time I will be on the top and I will see the inadequacy in the child. So this is something is seen, and every time my child I will feel that he's not following as compared to other kids and as compared to other people. So what to work on this? How to work on this? It's very important that when I take a session, or when we look at a child or a parent do, in beginning, I also was a person who was always looking at two things. One is a dysfunction of the child, and second is the expectation of the parent. So what dysfunctions are there? Fine motor issues, gross motor issues, eye and coordination, something like that. And what are the parent expectations? That he should write. So as a therapist, I was also working on helping the parent to meet with his expectations. But in that frame, in that phase, when I was seeing the child after 1 year also, I was seeing the skill is developed. The skill is very much developed. But yet the child started writing also. But the child was not understanding what he's writing. He was just writing because a lot of work was done on the writing. But is writing a development? No, the writing is not a development. Writing is just one of the small skill in academics, which around 20-30% population don't do even in this world. They are not educated, but yet they are living their life very normally. So we lose the track from the development, and we keep expecting the child to perform in certain skills and develop certain skills. So so this is a very, very ideal example I feel that to give. And when this child reaches to 6 years or 7 years, when as a professional I assess the child, I see the child is definitely is writing inside the line and everything, but there's no comprehension. Child is writing in examinations, but he is actually mugging up all the answers and these things. But unfortunately, the child is not able to communicate into the society. Child is not able to communicate his thoughts, his beliefs, his ideas on the paper. He's not able to put his ideas on the paper. The child is not able to interact with the things. So then at the age of 7 years, the child is doing so many things. And when I do the social age of the child, still the social age comes to around 2 years. And then there certain thing happens in the environment's mind or parent's mind. But my child is writing so well. He's writing in exam also. But still, why his social age come to 2 years? There, many times the therapists are not able to give an answer, because even most of the time they are also operating from the dysfunction model, that is keep working on improvements. But when I spoken to a lot of psychologists and a lot of developmental pediatricians, we came to know that development is missing is because the child is not operating from his developmental stage. He's just operating from his intelligent quotient. So intelligent quotient is different thing, and then developmental stage is different thing. You can be a very intelligent person, but maybe you are not matured. What's the use of that intelligence? So the skills, the child is develop a lot of skills which are not going to help the child in a functionality in the life. Okay, in one of my lecture in last year I given in the webinar, in the autism parenting webinar, then I gave a nice example that the child completed his 10th. The parent was very happy, but still when I asked the child got 64% or something. The parent was very happy. In the 10th exam, the autism child got 64%. But actually, when I asked the parent, can he call his neighbors if you are not well? The parent said no. Can he cross the road? The parent said no. Can he give you medicines if you are not well, or can he understand? Does he understand your emotions? The parent said no. So then the parent understood exactly what I worked only on the skills, but the development didn't happen. So these are the things, these are the lacks in the development happens because when we operate from our expectations, and the perception, or maybe the facts, which sometimes we may or we may not, we don't want to listen, because most of the time we are very much preoccupied with the expectations, right? So so this is a very, very important thing I feel the parent misses out, which is I feel I put it at a number one and in this factor. So focusing upon the weaknesses and strength, like most of the time I have seen the parent becomes a teacher and then he wants to see the child whether it's performing appropriately or no. It's very important that every time the child sees that I am being judged by at my own family, in my own environment, and then the child loses his confidence. If the confidence goes low, every time every time I feel that somebody's looking at me and somebody's finding my mistakes, somebody's helping me or helping me to do something, I lose my autonomy. And when I lose my autonomy in that phase, obviously I'm going to not develop one biggest area in my mind, that is a decision making, autonomous decision making. And in that autonomous decision making, it's very important. If it is not developed, then automatically I will not push myself to develop adequate orientation, to develop adequate thinking, adequate imagination, adequate learning from my own experiences, because I always got somebody is telling me do this, and then automatically I shut my mind and I keep doing it what they are telling, because most of the time when I do that, what they are expecting from me to do, then they also get happy. So in this way, I've seen the children only follow the parental commands, but when the time comes to develop their own decision making, then the child looks at the parent that what I'm supposed to write, or most of the time child looks at the parent whether I'm right or wrong. Child has done almost all the 30 sums were right, but every time the child was looking at a parent, he was not looking confidently where I have done right. I'm definitely these things. So over here, when we focus more upon the weaknesses, then automatically we are actually not letting that brain to develop its very important higher function, that is inquisitiveness, decision making, problem solving. Like identify the problem, work on the problem, and then develop the confidence with respect to the after the problem I solve. Okay, so it's, and one more thing, there are many concrete people sitting, so I will just say the problem is not about maths, the problem is not about examination. The problem is my mom is not well, so what I'm supposed to do, what kind of a decision I should take. I want to play with other kids, what kind of a decision I should take so that those kids will take me while playing. And then I become a very submissive character, because the area called decision making starts developing at the age day one. Let me tell you, day one se hi area of decision making starts developing. There are in certain countries that when the child is the first time the child is meeting to the mother, there are certain countries that doctors don't give the direct feed. The child is kept on the mother's tummy, and then the child is supposed to crawl and creep, sorry, not crawl, but creep and try to search for its food. And then the child starts, finds the source of food, and then he starts getting fed. So this is something, the day one itself, there are certain countries there are certain doctors who let the child develop his own decision making and his own awareness about his own challenges. So it's very important, even at the age 8 years or 10 years, when we are not helping the child to know what his strengths are, or we are not operating from the child's strengths. Maybe over here I will say the child is operating from the solitary play. The child has recently started playing with the bus, and I ask and but I want my child should play with a lot of things and all. But in that phase, I will keep telling the child to do this and do that and do this and all. It's about I am telling the child to do rather than I am playing with the child by matching with his strength. These are two different things. Rather than instructor, become a companion. And when you become a companion, when you actually admire the strengths. So that's the remedy for the second factor, which is when we say it is focusing more upon weaknesses and strengths. Any query in this regard? Let's go to the next factor, which is I have taken a lot of help from my psychologist team over here because this is a topic where I feel is more of a understanding mindsets. So when we discuss about therapies, when we discuss about a protocol, when a psychologist give their report, then they just don't give the report. They give a kind of a parenting style also to me, which is very helpful for us to understand what is the parent is, what kind of a stage or what kind of an approach the parent is operating from, and then we can nicely help the parent and child to merge together, to develop that belongingness between parent and child. And that's what is this all the things has come from, which will be listed where we are going wrong, where we are failing in a child's development. So these are the same things which for us also, whether I am expecting more from the child or where I expected a lot from the child in that particular session, or whether I am giving only importance to the weakness of the child, I'm just giving importance to the what he's not able to do and what I am trying to make him do. The same is applicable for the therapist also. Focusing more upon the strengths, is more important than operating the child from weaknesses. The next problem, what I would like to keep it a third level, is a preoccupation or fears about the treatments. There is always a curiosity, there is always an inquisitiveness about the treatments. But if there are preoccupations about the treatment, like for example, that I have a premeditated thoughts, or maybe some parent told me this something happens over here, something this happens. Then what happens? I will definitely not go with the fresh mind. I will definitely not be able to submit myself to the treatment. And this kind of a fear, what is developed inside every person. So whatever the improvement is coming, but still I will operate from the fear that this particular treatment, or those preoccupation in the mind. That can be like there are so many preoccupations are there, which certain parents think that when the therapist is dealing with the child, he's abusing the child, or when the therapist is not letting me see his child. But ideally, there's a very simple mechanism. If the parent is looking at the child will not develop the autonomy. When the child is already developed, have a lot of belongingness. We have 23 hours at home. What we are supposed to do is exactly told by the therapist to definitely I see to it that my therapist is telling. But it's very important that those preoccupations, which I have not gone across, but I have visualized all those fears in my mind. And when I go for that treatment, definitely that treatment will not give me an adequate outcome because I'm operating from the fear. Next is working on multiple options together without having a proper knowledge and facts about it. It's something very very funny. It's just take it as a let's take it as a humor. It's like I want to make a dress for myself. I want to make a wanted to stitch a shirt from so I got a best cloth, but I am in a discussion with 4 or 5 tailors, and then every tailor is giving me a different idea. So according to their ideas, I get the cloth, some teller said you get a green color cloth. Some teller said you get this kind of a fabric. Some tellers you this thing. And I followed every teller, and I told them to stitch certain things. And yes, one more thing, I don't give them to stitch. I stitch myself. When I stitch myself, then something this kind of happens, and then after that, something lot of good things also, and lot of lackings. Every color is absolutely fine. Every color is good. Every fabric is nice. Everything was nice. Every therapeutic approach was nice, but without having a proper knowledge and without understanding the facts about what I'm supposed to follow and what I'm not supposed to follow, when we get in the trap of following too many things, this kind of things sometimes happens, and that leads to some kind of inadequacy in the child's development, because we are not definitely whenever we do something, जब भी हम लोग कुछ भी काम करते हैं, और when I take an assignment, I always see to it that where I reached in a given time, where the child is developing in a given time, where the child and parent duo are actually developing both of them. I mean, how the child is developing the parent's approach and how the parent is developing the child's play approach. So ये दोनों चीजें quantitative and qualitative होना चाहिए, लेकिन most of the time we are not able to quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis cannot be done, because the parent is actually sometimes many parents follow too many things. Maybe one parent is seeking two occupational therapists together, two different speech therapists together, and under that, one speech therapist approach is very much different, another speech therapist approach is very different. The occupational therapist, everybody is doing their job best, there is no problem, but everybody's approach is different. And the child who requires a kind of a unified, a kind of a expected, or kind of a linear, or I will say it's more of a symmetrical or approach from the environment, then the multiple approaches leads to some kind of a thing which is not definitely helping my concerns to follow. But this kind of things may happen after a few years. What important over here is not about finding many options. It's about sticking to that option and sticking to that goal and giving a kind of a time to that goal. And I will put my mind, body, soul, and heart into that particular thing as per the experienced person, or as per the profession is asking me to do. I will just put that, and then I will be able to see the quantitative and qualitative analysis. Most of the time when we see too many people in that, we become a observer, and our mind becomes comparative to the therapist approach, and then we lose the connection with the child. I have seen the parents or caretakers who are actually following too many things. They just their major assignment is to complete those therapies every day. Their major assignment is to take those things to every day, But a major thing is that how much I am supposed to convert those skills into the function, that is not seen. So a complete delegation happens from the parent to the therapist, or to the multiple approach, and that delegation sometimes loses the parental involvement, the very necessary parental involvement into the child's development. And that's why, yes, despite of all the efforts I take, I see my child is not developing as per my expectation, because I'm putting a lot of money, I'm putting a lot of time, I'm putting a lot of efforts. I'm taking my car, I'm going there, I'm taking my scooty, I'm going here, I'm spending a lot of things on transportation things. And so यहाँ पर जब हम लोग बहुत सारा efforts डालते हैं, बहुत सारा money डालते हैं, then the outcome doesn't come as per these things, and then we say कि no, therapy is bad, nothing is important, and nothing, you just work on certain things. तो ये बहुत important होता है those parents who are actually operating from the early intervention. It's very important. Give time, understand the goal, understand what my child is facing, understand if my child is not giving eye contact. Is it a vestibular issue, or is it a kind of a visual ocular reflex issue, or is it a kind of a auditory processing issue? The therapist should tell you, and if he's not able to come with a proper reasonings to your concerns in the beginning only, don't follow it. But if you understood it, then just submit yourself and then give some time to that process, because in science we learn two kind of reactions. One is a slow reaction and the second is a fast reaction. Slow reaction is हम लोगों ने साइंस में पढ़ा था ये चीज. I don't want to go more in that कि समुद्र जो पानी के बहाव से पत्थर में एक अलग से डिजाइन आते हैं. That's a slow kind of a reaction. And the bomb, when it blasts, the stone gets वो बस्ट हो जाता है. तो ये सारी ये फास्ट रिएक्शन है. डेवलपमेंट के बारे में अगर हम लोग देखेंगे तो इट्स अ वेरी स्लो रिएक्शन, इट्स अ ग्रेजुअल प्रोसेस where actually we have to be consistent and we have to be we have to put our observations only to the child's development without getting distracted to any particular information which is not important for my child's development. And that's what is called the working on multiple options together. And then only I can qualify and I can quantify my child's development, and then only I can create a right questions to the professional. And then if the professional says, okay, it is not under my control, you can seek another person's help. But if the professional is saying that, okay, let's see in next 1 month, I want to see whether he gives eye contact, is not developing eye contact, okay? And then you have to ask the question to the therapist, why the child is not developing eye contact. We have to sit, not at the end of the 1 month, not at the end of the 3 months. There has to be a mid review where actually the parent should be sitting with one of the senior professional and then check with the therapist only, and check whether where we have reached in terms of a development. And believe me, that meeting should happen only with the therapist and not with the third person who doesn't have any insight about your child. Many things it happens, like a therapist A gave a kind of a goal that we have to develop, the child will start using the toys more meaningfully, and then a parent will go and parent has started working on it, parent is getting improvement also. Then the parent comes in a contact with another therapist, and then parent asks the question, whether this I'm doing is right or wrong. This is a very hazardous thing. The child who's operated by the therapist for last 2 months or 1.5 months, he knows more better. You ask him, you counter question him straight away directly to that person, rather than the parent who's sitting outside the premises, or maybe the another therapist, or maybe anybody, because that anybody has not seen 1.5 years journey of that therapist and the child duo. So many times, जो कंसर्न पर्सन है उसको सवाल ना पूछ के हम लोग किसी तीसरे पर्सन को सवाल पूछते हैं, and that third person brings some kind of ideas which we create a kind of a disharmony inside our mind, whether I'm doing right or wrong. And this is a very, very important thing which happens in most of the times I've seen, and then the parent gets diverted from the development of a child to the multiple options. So this is the third factor. Next factor is comparison with others' condition. That I think everybody speaks about this, that you should not compare your child with another child. Your child is the child is unique. The child is having his own abilities. You just look at his own abilities. But most of the time, again, expectations, या हिंदी में हम लोग कहेंगे इच्छाएं. हमारी जो इच्छाएं होते हैं, हमारी जो डिजायर्स होते हैं, वो हमें दौड़ाते हैं. They make us run for, we keep running for our aspirations and our these things. But those running or those kind of a experience, we try to use it for our child. So 3 महीने में I have to give an exam and I got successful. But child's development is not 3 months. Child's development is a gradual process. So in that phase, rather than looking at another person how he's doing, we should understand what my child was doing 1 month back and how is it doing today, more better than yesterday, and with the therapist I will sit and ask him how I can take the child in next 1 month, or in the next 1 month where I want to see my child functionally. That's very important, functionally and not skillfully. Functions and skills, these are two different things. The child is mastered in the puzzle is a skill, but the child is able to associate the papa's pain and his pocket. The child is able to associate this is uncle's car and this is mama's scooty. Child is able to associate this person stays in this flat. The child is able to associate that yesterday this child has come to play this in the garden and this child has not come today. That the child is using those skills of association into the functions. Most of the time what happens, when we go into the comparison, we try to follow the same thing in comparison with follow the same thing what that other person is doing, who is doing better than my child. But maybe at that moment, I don't see my child's strengths, my child's occupation. My child is operating from a solitary play stage, but that child is operating from a role act play or pretend play, and then I keep giving the same activities to my child and I say my child is not doing at all. So comparison is one more very important factor where I actually move away from the child's development, and then I keep doing all those things as per what I've seen in others, other people are doing, so that I want to see my child developing like that, and and in that phase we miss many trains of child development. Whereas what should happen over here, I should compare my child's yesterday's development with today's development and where I want to see him tomorrow. So it's very important. ये हमारा माइंड हमें नहीं करने देता है क्योंकि उसके पीछे कुछ रीजंस हैं, because our mind is made up of multiple things and multiple experiences. Our mind is made up of and multiple experiences. In 1 minute we get so many thousand thoughts in our mind which are necessary and which are not necessary, and most of those thoughts are our aspirations, are our desires, and third thing is our fears, and those fears will always make us short-tempered, short performer mode, and we try to see kind of a jadoo or kind of a short-term things with respect to my long-term aspirations. So that sometimes that doesn't meet, and then I lose the hope in my efforts. So I've seen that many parents actually, they start very nicely and the child is also developing, but somewhere what they are seeking is like kept far away, and every time the parent compares his development with that far away, and the parents feels okay, he's doing nothing and my efforts are wrong. So comparing the child with another child is a problem. Comparing my child with my aspirations is also a problem, but comparing my child 1 month back and comparing my child today and developing a kind of we can say a protocol, or we can say a goal for 1 month after, and I will just submit myself with my mind, body, soul and heart to that goal, then definitely nothing is possible in this world. Okay, but yes, this is very difficult because we get so many thoughts, we meet so many people, we read so many things, and in that things we keep getting a lot of preoccupations, and then we are not able to stay on that particular on this particular target. 14 years back when I started with this with the therapy sessions and these things, and today what I'm doing, what I'm seeing, the Google has played a very important role in changing the perspective of the human being, or let us say not Google but overall media, because what happened in Ahmedabad, okay, after let us say 40 years, we get a message today that one child was something happened with this, and then the whole India becomes fearful about that particular thing. This is something, again, the preoccupation, the fears, and then we keep getting a lot of messages and a lot of things which contaminate our thought process, which contaminate our journey towards a goal. So yes, comparison not should be done with outside. Comparison should be done with my child in a short term, not very short term. 1 month is more important. There are many there are many instances when I say ki, okay, did you play like did you I tell the remedy ki, okay, you do this kind of a remedy, and parents say no, I did it. मैंने उसको, you know, he's not eating self, so मैंने उसको मैंने 2-3 बार उसको मैंने खुद ने खाया था, उसके बाद उसको रखा था. I give this remedy ki, you start eating first, and then let the child's hunger develop, and then you feed the child. It's not so when you feed a child at 8 o'clock and then you eat at 8:30, you eat at 8 o'clock and then you let your child, and then you feed your child at 8:30. Give some time so that your child will get adequate information by seeing you and all. I was telling this, but the parent quickly turned me down. No, I have followed this. You know, हमने ये तरीका use किया. You know, I had some time and that day I asked, okay, what all things you did and how many times? So the parent said, मैंने 3 दिन उसको ऐसे किया, उसके बाद ना, you know, I lost it. He didn't do it properly, so I lost it. I started using something else. So giving 3 days for autism child, I think it's very, very important. How many days we should follow a technique or follow things for a definite change is, I will say, around 30 to 35 days. You know, I will keep doing the same thing. You know, it's very important that today I did a ball exercises. I asked the parent to do the ball exercises to develop the arousal of the child. The child's arousal will not improve tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Once the brain starts getting the inputs again and again, the same inputs the child gets, then the vestibular input starts developing the arousal of the child. The child will start becoming alert at the end of the 1 month. Maybe when I sit for the review of the child, the parent comes to me saying, पिछले 2 दिनों से ही ना उसने मुझे बहुत अच्छे से आई कांटेक्ट देना शुरू किया है. पिछले 2 दिनों से he started becoming aware about the surroundings. But it's not about the last 2 days what he did or last 4 days he did. He did for 1 month continuously, and that's why the child has started showing the development after 1 month. You know, so we should have that much of patience when we are actually dealing with autism. But just doing the remedy for 3 days or 4 days and then we are moving these things, that's a sign of impulsivity, and we don't know that exactly what made me what exactly happened when he was 3 years, when some doctors told him that you should do this, and then the parent is sitting in front of me at the age of 6.5 years and still following the same technique and still having the same problem in the mind that my child is not using his hand. Okay, because at that time the same doctor had a very nice remedy. Your child he will start eating on his own, he will develop adequate joint awareness, and that awareness you can use in the school, that he will start scribbling and all, you know. But a parent, because of that fast comparison or fast the parent wanted the fast result. You know, parent could not sustain on any technique, and at the age of 6.5 years or so, when I said it's something you have to do, you know, then the parent said, no, I have used everything. It's something which is, we did not give enough time to the child to develop those to develop adequate awareness in the mind. You know? So the next is the point, or the next factor, despite having lots of effort, why my child is not developing, is a cold parenting. Cold parenting is not a problem of the parents. Let me tell you, it's not a parent's issue. You know, I feel it's all about when my child was born. I was a very happy person. I was a very happy-go-lucky person. You know, when he becomes 6 months, we used to call him, we used to play with him, doctor. You know, 7 months, 8 months, he was doing nice things. But after 11 months or 12 months, you know, I don't know what happened. I started working, and then some skills got lost, some regression happened, some new things came, and I lost that connection with my child. Okay, and then, you know, when most of the time the parent expect a play from the child, and then the parent can show that the gestures to the child. But unfortunately, in autism, in the early stages of development, child goes into in his own world, and then the parent try to seek a lot of attention of the child, but unknowingly they don't get, but they don't get that much of attention from the child, or they don't get that much of connection with the child. Unknowingly, slowly, again, development is a very slow process. The parents' excitement, the parents' belongingness, or parents' high energy gets converted into the low energies, and parent starts operating from his own profession or from where he's getting for where he's supposed to focus more. And then the thing this happens that most of the time my psychologist says that this parent is having some cold parenting. Then what we do, we take the parent inside the therapy room, and we try to transfer the excitement of the therapist, or therapist transfers his excitement to the parent, and that's how there are many cases we have to take the parent inside, because where we don't want to just work on a child, but we have to develop the parent's excitability. That's very, very important. So it's not about a child. Parent is always supposed to be out. It's very important that what changes we want in the parent. As per that, sometimes we do these remedies, or all the times with respect to cold parenting, we have to do these remedies, because unless and until the parent is not very much excited, the child is going to connect with the parent. So after the therapies, kya hota hai? The child starts becoming more aware about the environment. Child becomes dynamic. Child starts giving eye contact. Child starts responding to name. Child starts playing. But at this time, at the age of 3.5 or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, the parent has gone to the cold stage. The cold stage is a lack of adequate excitability, lack of adequate expressions, which the child is seeking from the environment, which the child is seeking from the parent. And even the therapist is helping the child to develop, but at home, those 23 hours, or let us say those 12 hours, the parent is not able to meet with the child's play, and then the parent unknowingly starts delegating every stuff on a therapist, or unknowingly parent gets detached from the child, or parent do certain things, or I've seen the parent, we tell the parent कि अपने घर पे ऐसे करना है, parent हाँ तो बोलता है, लेकिन घर पे जाके वो चीजें उनसे नहीं हो पाती हैं. They try a lot, but नहीं हो पाती है because they have lost that kind of an excitation, and that excitation definitely is because of the previous things, that is, yes, expectations, perceptions, and what we see, what we compare and all. So it is again a part of that kind of a mindset development of a parent. I have seen many parents are very excited, very these things. So what I tell the therapist, you merge this parent, with that parent's session, so that when these parents will keep talking with each other, they can transfer their abilities to each other. They can transfer their excitement, because energy always flows from positive to negative. It's not negative energy, it's about energy always flows from positive to the lower side. So the excitability goes to the lower side, and I've seen with parents follow more to another parent than the therapist. Therapist is always a culprit. He's always a commercial. He's always a these things. He's always on the other side of the court. But parents are on the same side. So a parent can follow a parent better. So over here, the parent who's more talkative, more these things, have seen that turning the another parent's cold parenting, and I've seen that development happen. So sometimes while scheduling, we do this to overcome this particular thing, but most of the time it is important to work on this feature of the parenting, because we are dependent on a parent, because whatever the skill I have developed, that skill is supposed to get transferred in the child through that much of excitement only, because हमारी learning सिर्फ दो ही condition में होती है, when we are happy, okay, and second thing, when we are alert. It's not attentive, it's alertness. When we are happy and when we are alert, then only lots of awareness will happen, lots of orientation will happen, and then only the learning will happen all the time. But child, after the therapies, after few days of the therapy, child started showing that alertness, child started showing the awareness, but unfortunately parent is not able to create that kind of an environment for the child, or child is not able to go to his own childhood so that they can merge together, they can understand each other. That is a biggest one of the biggest challenge for the therapist in the child development process. And in that phase we may lose sometimes 3-4 months, or sometimes we give some time to the parent. Okay, you have to be excited, you have to do this, you have to do that, and then the parent says yes, we will do. And after 3 months, again the goal, when they are not able to achieve it, they tell the parent, no, it's important that your child is supposed to do. Most of the time cold parenting comes from the stressful conditions. Also the cold parenting come from the when you are operating from certain stresses which are not related with your child. Then also the cold parenting comes. So this is somewhere is a challenge behind child development, because with 100% involvement, neurotypical development children will develop, or maybe with 80% involvement, the child's learning ability is 80% or 90%. This child may not require any kind of environment. They will develop otherwise. But for autism child, his learning abilities maybe is operating from 20% or 30% or 40%, but definitely less than the child. So our 100% effort, if it is helping only 20 to 30%, then maybe I ask the parent, you have to be more loud, more cheerful, and more playing. Okay, it's not cheerful, but more excited or more involved, more passionate, whatever you're doing. And that passion will only come from a cheerful mind. But if the mind is operating from certain stress, then this is the challenge we face. And yes, the time goes, the effort goes, the money goes, but yet the development is at the lower level. My request to parents is let's see your helicopter. Let's not see others helicopter. Because there can be many years starting में ये डाला था यहाँ पर this. Let's see through helicopter. Everybody has his own helicopter. In that helicopter, you have to see what is happening. So only focus your helicopter view. Maybe somebody is viewing a New York, somebody is viewing maybe a Mumbai, somebody is viewing a Nagpur, or somebody is viewing a Delhi. Okay, but try to view from your helicopter, and from this particular challenge is what I am expressing. It's not about negative things inside you. It's all about the challenges we all are facing in terms of child development. So if anybody is thinking that I am criticizing all these things, please don't take it in that way. It's only about, these are the challenges, not just for you, but for me also, for the child who's waiting for us to work on this development. So let's move ahead. Diversification from the goals of the development. This is again one more thing. I have to work on his. The child should start making the environmental sounds, or he should start understanding the environmental sounds through my voice. So the boo-boo aa gaya, and if I say shh, aeroplane, or shh, cooker whistle, ring ring is a mixer grinder, that I am supposed to do. But in my mind there is an expectation that when he will speak, okay, goals to theek hai, goals to apni jagah par theek hai, but I want to do something great. And then I go to something else, and then I take the goals from another therapist that he should start speaking he should start identifying the pictures. Let's say he should start saying apple and all. But that goal and this goal again will start hitting each other, and then we will start losing our efforts to not at the target, but definitely at the away from the target. Or sometimes I hear that some kind of a medicine is there, or some kind of some paper says that this kind of a medicine, this kind of a multivitamins is important for the child, and then I spend my effort over there in that phase, and there I don't even realize how I diversified from my goals what the therapist has given to me. Because that time the child had developed his adequate eye contact, the child had developed his adequate receptive communication, the child had developed adequate parent-child bonding. In last 2 to 3 months effort, we have brought to the child to this level, and now it is a time the child will start interpreting the environment sounds first, and then he's going to verbalize like a normal child, like a 9 or 10 month old child. All of a sudden the diversification happens. We go to a certain another remedy, and then we lose out with that goal, and maybe later on that phase may or may not come, and that is the biggest agony of diversification from the goals of the development. Here, unfortunately, you may or you may not share this with the therapist. It's not about this thing, but sometimes the child is about to speak, the child is about to develop a kind of a verbalization, and a kind of a marriage comes in the family, or a kind of an exam comes in this things, or a kind of a things which is momentarily. But in that phase, when the child goes and when it comes back, we see there's a diversion of the child's. Parent says कि no, अभी उसका ना flapping बढ़ गया ना, we should work on flapping, and he's just flapping in the class, and teacher ने उसको बोला flapping. But actually when I asked the parent कि what about he was supposed to understand the environmental sounds, and he was supposed to do the environmental sounds. Oh, I tried 5 to 7 days, but later on we went out. This happens again. For a success, for a definitely success, we need to invest 2 things: time, effort, and our money. To become unsuccessful, we again invest 3 things: our time, our efforts, and again money. So successful होने के लिए और not successful होने के लिए हमें same चीजें ही invest करनी होती है, लेकिन उसमें सबसे important invest करना होता है success के लिए, that is patience and giving a proper attention to that goal, and giving a adequate attention to that goal. That's very important, and that's how I will keep this point at the next level, that is diversification of the goals of the development. Because development is a sequential process. When the child is going to speak, when the child is going to understand those sounds, that means the child's receptive communication is getting converted into the verbal mechanism, because those sounds were more important for the child's in the childhood phase. The child is more aware with the sounds and not with the words. Let me tell you one thing. And to develop a speech, it's more important the child should start converting those environmental sounds into the vocal action, that is shh or something like that, and then only the verbal action will become more meaningful. Many people try to dodge this particular thing, and they try to work on speaking the words by doing certain techniques. लेकिन एक बार बोलता हूँ कि लकड़ी के पुल पर, लकड़ी का पुल ज्यादा देर तक नहीं टिकता है, वो धड़ाम से नीचे आता है. You have to make the base as solid as much, so that child can develop so many bridges on that. It's very important. So if the child can interpret the sounds, then the child can interpret the words also, and he will definitely imitate those words. You don't have to teach the child will start speaking more appropriately. But yes, हमारी इच्छाएं, हमारे desires, and our sometimes we expect miracles, that becomes a kind of a divergence, and then we get diverted from, or sometimes our lifestyle also. Many times, not sometimes, many times our lifestyle is such that we get diversified from the goals more easily. Next is dealing with jargons and not with the developmental concern. I have seen in the reviews, or after 6 months, I take out the children's reviews, and I talk to the managers, and when I discuss the every center's child's development, over there I see how the child is actually developing from a phase to another phase. In that thing, me and my team had observed those parents who are more laymen. They didn't know anything about it. And the concerns where my child is not, I'm not able to play with my child, I'm not enjoying my parenting, or those kind of things which are related to more with the development, those kids develop much faster than the parent who comes to me and in a consultation only says he has a tactile issue and he has some kind of a auditory modulation issue. So if the parent has done all the assessment, then what's the use? But most of the time, this kind of assessment, or when we operate from the jargons, when we operate our child from those jargons, like he's not developed the fine motor issues and his diet and all those vestibular thing and fine motor, these are technical words which are important for the scientific team, for the professional, so that a professional can actually document the protocol, nothing more than that. But because thanks to Google, it has created everything available, it has created everything this, and our mind becomes preoccupied with lots of words, lots of terminologies, and then we don't know, we don't come to know how, what to use where, you know. So it's I've learned everything, I know everything, but actually when it comes to implement, I know nothing. That thing happens, or where to use this particular strategy, I don't know. So I have seen that one of my reception, you know, she was she was a very keen girl. Came from Satara side, and then she had to prove that I want to do something. And very nice girl, Pooja, you know. And then she used to see everyday therapy. In fact, she learned all the jargons, and she used to tell ki this thing. So there I saw ki, you know. And one day I asked, okay, what do you know about this? And she said he's having a vestibular issue. He's having this. And I asked him, what you will do with this? She said, I don't know. That is a therapist's job. So there I understood that if a person who goes with every time with that particular those words and all, the person will look at the child only from the problem. You know, she was looking at the problem. That's what she saw everything, like, you know, that what the child is not doing. But what the child is supposed to do, that she was not knowing the developmental theories, the play theories, the different approaches, that she was not knowing. So she could assess very nicely, but when I asked about the development, she was not able to tell the proper things. But somewhere same thing happens with the parent, that we get bombarded with a lot of words, we get bombarded with a lot of our concerns. Again, I would like to go to that expectation model, you know, and yes, expectations versus perception. Our concerns and expectations, every time that some professional or some parent or some environment, okay, maybe a book or maybe a media is giving a kind of a nomenclature to that, you know, and different nomenclatures, different type of things, and then we get preoccupied with those things, and in that masking we actually forget what our concern is. So the parent comes to us and says that he has a vestibular issue, and when I ask the parent, explain me what is vestibular issue. No, that I don't know about this thing, but he has a vestibular issue. See, he's vestibular hypersensitive. Then I asked, what do you mean by vestibular hypersensitive? No, वो जो बच्चे होते हैं ना, वो ऐसे करते हैं, मैंने पढ़ा था, और फिर वो बच्चा वो बॉल पर नहीं बैठना चाहता, या चीजें नहीं करना चाहता, this thing. So he has a vestibular hypersensitive. But when I assessed the child, I didn't see anything related to vestibular hypersensitive. But what I saw in the child was the ocular reflex. His eyes were not moving with respect to his neck. They were not getting coordinated. And in that frame, whenever the child was moving, the child's visual inputs was getting blurred, because the neck and the eye movement coordinated with each other so that you can stabilize a particular picture, and that the child was not doing, you know. And when we worked on it, it's like since last 3 years the child was vestibular, so-called vestibular hypersensitive. The child started sitting on a swing and he started playing. In fact, he become very active, who was just lying down, who was just didn't want any movements and all, because there was a problem with the ocular movements rather than the vestibular issues. But so this is called as a we are occupied with the jargons, and when we get occupied with these jargons, then automatically we see the same thing getting worked upon, and sometimes we miss the bus. So as a parent, as a parent, in fact, me and my kids also. My Arya is my daughter. So she was having she was getting distracted most of the times, and she was having some of this thing. So I asked my therapist, you assess her, you tell me what is your plan, and then let me ask you questions. And then she assessed her, and she said, sir, she is more preoccupied with uh, what other her friends are having cars, because I just shifted the residence, the cars and their lifestyle, and then she has started comparing most of the time with their lifestyle and your lifestyle. So she's comparing with this thing. So that's why she's not developing that kind of a thing. For me, it was very difficult. It would have been very difficult to analyze my daughter, because I don't operate my daughter from the technical perspective. I operate my daughter from the emotional perspective. Okay, but so being a so much of experienced person, I will definitely not analyze my child, or I will definitely not use these words on my child. But rather, I asked my one of the therapists to do that, and then that she told me the very apt thing. And I said, what's the plan? So she said, okay, we will use this kind of similarities and dissimilarities, and then we will start working on her communication content and her thought process. So we'll start working. And she said, I think 1.5 months you give me, and we will be able to reach to this level to start with. I asked her what is expected from me. She said, I think you are focusing more on her online studies. Let her go out. Don't stop her from going to those friends. You also occupy, and at the same time, you must focus on what she has rather than what she's not doing. I started doing it, and then in last let us say 15-20 days, I'm starting getting wonderful results. But this I could not do this, because I am a parent, and I'm a very passionate parent about my children. If anybody touches my car, I will not this thing. But if my child's cycle is not allowed in my society, I will definitely go and then will quarrel with the person who actually without permission of my child, he touched the cycle and things. I am passionate about my child, so I will not become technical with my child. So I just gave an example, a very lively example. So it's very important that when we start operating our child, or start judging our child from these jargons, which are very, very, very technical. Let me tell you, if you say vestibular, the word vestibular itself has around 50 to 80 books of 1,000 pages books. Different experiences and different things are involved in that. So just by reading an article or reading 2 to 3 articles, when you start saying the ball bouncing is required and the swing is not required, that is not a criteria. The criteria is, with your assessment, how you look at the development, which is connected with your concerns, and where the child and parent duo is not able to go to the next level. So the parent was not able to take the child to the garden, parent was not able to take the child to outside. And when I said the child is having an ocular reflex issue, the parent somehow could understand, but still in this regard, the parent had one thing. I have gone to London, I have gone to so many places, and how can he say that this is this thing? I have shown him to ophthalmologist also. Ophthalmology is an eye specialist, will look only at visual acuity, but will not look below the eye level, that is a neck movement associated with the eye movements. And that's very important, that maybe I've missed out from that perspective. So when the ophthalmologist gave a report that your child's vision is 6/6, so the child can see properly, but yet the child was not able to mingle with other kids. That was not a vestibular issue, that was an ocular issue. When I told the parent, when I had to tell the parent again and again, and then the parent came to a decision, okay, let's start working on it. It was a 2 months, and then the child started going out. So it is because we are so much preoccupied with this jargons. One of the reason, even though I do a lots of hard work, why I'm not getting the development. Next thing is keeping a faith on remedies. Always I have seen that whenever we operate from fears, whenever we operate from a kind of a stress, we always become fearful, and then we always become suspicious about the remedies. We always become pessimistic about those remedies. It happened with me also. The corona period, the centers were completely stopped. The therapists were at home, and then I had a fear that if we start, then what will be the reactions, or what will be the things of the parents, or what will be the things of these things. But it's these fears started creating a lot of negative thoughts in the mind, and then it was like I was not able to operate from my best of this thing, because every time I was preoccupied with what the parent is thinking with respect to the hygiene, or with respect to how loud I'm speaking, or what I'm touching, and everything, or which kind of sanitizer we are using. So if the parent is preoccupied with those things, definitely the parent will not be able to give adequate attention to the remedies and adequate attention to this thing. So I took a decision, rather than that, let's take an online consultation. Let's keep it as a recorded session, so that parent can see it again and he can understand again. So that was the thing, but that came not from my mind. It came from the person, who was not from this field. Okay, the person is my brother, who gave, say, why don't you, if you have this fear, then let's start taking whomever parent wants to seek your help. You do it online consultation only. You don't have, even if the child is coming from the Nerul, your center is in Nerul, you stay at Nerul, but let the child operate from the home, and you just see all these things. And believe me, we got a lot of help from that particular remedy. So it's very important not keeping faith on remedies. If I go to do something, and if I have something in my mind, if I'm going for an examination, and I'm just keeping कि ये आया तो क्या होगा, फिर वो अगर मुझे वो question नहीं आया तो क्या होगा, and then I start I start questioning about my abilities. I start questioning about environment. I start questioning about others things, that अच्छा वो अगर examiner ने paper निकाला होगा तो वो जानबूझ के मुझे fail ही करेगी, or something like that, and then automatically I lose the enjoyment of that examination, or enjoyment, because that examination is not a stress. That examination is a step to make me go ahead. That is a step I should take, rather than this thing. So most of the time, not keeping the faith on the remedies is like the therapist is always wants to help the child, and that's why we came from all E's. Like I did my education, then gave the examination, then started working from ethics, and then experienced in so many kids. Then I'm coming here to help. And then if somebody says that you are commercial and you are doing this, then definitely nobody can help, because not keeping faith on remedies. So it's very important that whenever we are operating always from the stress, we don't see the positive aspect of it. We always see the negative aspect of it. And when we operate from the negative aspect of it, we will not get the adequate outcome with respect to effort what we are putting into that thing. So it's very important that if I got all the knowledge about my daughter from the therapist, okay, she told me, and when I was completely satisfied with her assessment and with her goals, then I just followed what she said only. Then I didn't follow that I'm the boss, I should know more, I know more better than you, why not this and why not that. I asked her questions, but I didn't ask another therapist whether I should do it or not. I asked only her. I gave her a call. Okay, I did this. How was the session today? Because she had this. She was. I'm doing this particular thing nowadays. Can you please tell me? Am I doing right or wrong? Are you getting a kind of inputs from during the session from the child? So there it is more important that I have a faith in the, I kept a faith on a therapist. I didn't see she's junior, she's a senior, I could have gone to that another senior therapist. Oh, he's more friendly with him, or he's more knowledgeable, or he's more technical. If that particular thing I was supposed to do before opting for the therapy, or before delegating my child to that therapist. But once I gave, all the mind was closed and I became submissive, and I started dealing only with respect to that therapist's perspective. Now I'm going to ask only after 1 month that, okay, we are going to sit together and we are going to understand that, okay, where we are, and are we through? Are we supposed to continue, or what we are supposed to do further, or where we are we lacking in somewhere? That I will check it only after 1.5 months. But till then, I will do everything what she has told me, and what I'm going to with respect to my available time, my efforts, and my belongingness. So that's in my hand. Over there, I will not think anything apart from the protocol, and apart from the in my mind, I will not become suspicious about it. So I will never ask also how the session was happened. It's very important for me. My child is more important than anybody's child is. Then for every parent, that child is more important. But if we are thinking about, I want to develop my child, and that's my major concern, then the faith is more important. Whenever you go for a surgery, or whenever we go to get a treatment from a doctor, if we don't have adequate faith on that doctor, then definitely we will always feel कि अरे ये इंजेक्शन थोड़ा ज़्यादा तो दुख रहा है. Okay, अरे ये इंजेक्शन की वजह से मेरी नस को तो नहीं लग गया. Oh my God, am I going to develop any sepsis? Oh my God, जिसका हाथ तो थोड़ा सा तगड़ा था, थोड़ा सा जाड़ा था, थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा heavy था. So I will develop all the fears, but that is very, very, we can say, momentarily for doctors and injection, maybe 1 or 2 days. But when it comes to therapies, development, or maybe malaria maybe last long for 7 days or 10 days, viral fever may last long for 3 to 4 days. But development or developmental issues are actually the long-term protocol. So for that, we have to keep that faith. Unless and until that faith is not there, nobody can help. So we have to help ourselves. If we delegate my child, then I will keep enough faith. But I will question it after the, I will question always. I will question with respect to the development, and not with respect to the diversifications. That's very important. Next is distorted minds and decision making is a kind of a thing. Thanks to my psychologist team that they helped me out in this particular topic. Is something like, or we keep discussing these topics again and again, because if the child is suffering, I've seen that many parents take sleeping pills. Many parents are operating from lots of stress, and the stress only comes when we are thinking a lot. Our efforts, okay, we are thinking a lot, but we are not operating with respect to our thinking, or the operations are not happening with respect to our thinking, and then the stress comes. Always, I have observed this in me also. If I'm thinking a lot, and my efforts are not matching with the right techniques, then my mind gets more distorted. It's a normal mechanism. Okay, if my child is suffering, what will happen to him? Whether he will sit today in the class or no? Okay, what the surroundings, and so many things, we are always preoccupied. But in terms of autism parent, you're preoccupied a lot more than any other parent. There's a lots of stress than any other parents. There's a lots of sometimes negative thoughts than any other parent. Because you are dealing with the most precious thing is affected. That's your child, and it is but obvious that the mind gets distorted, and very few people are able to manage it. I have seen the extreme case. In one of my lecture, I told that lady had 3 children severely disabled, but yet she was a very calm person, very appropriate person, and she was seeing the child's development. She was actually enjoying the child's companies. Okay, and she could take a right decision, even though the husband was not with her. There were a lot of financial issues. There was a lot of environmental issues related to her children. She was staying in a rented house. Still, she was a very calm lady, and she used to speak very nicely. But it's not possible for everybody. But we have to, if we want to go to a milestone, or we have to achieve the milestones, we have to attain that kind of a calmness inside us, and we have to work on our own distortions. But over here, the problem is the distorted minds. Can a disturbed person, my question to you all is, can a disturbed person take right decisions? My question to you all, let's put it in the chat box. Can a disturbed person take a right decision? Can a disturbed person speak properly? Can a disturbed person is in a condition to communicate, is in a condition to think properly? Definitely not. Okay. So if a disturbed person cannot take a right decision or cannot think properly, in this case, I have seen the caretakers or the relatives of the parent, or maybe the mother's sister, or in the joint family, maybe the grandparents, or maybe the uncle comes for I call them for the review, and I ask them, you have to lead on this parent. You have to lead on these parents to take the right decisions. And because you are a very patient, you are sitting in a helicopter and you are watching every day what is happening. So you should guide the parents with respect to the protocol, what is happening. And I have seen the parents, those who are following. I mean, see, when I'm distorted, I'm not in a proper phase of decision making. Then I should follow the decision of only of an authentic person. Yes or no? I'll give you a very valid reason. Maybe my reason is maybe not as much as stressful as as what you are saying. 2 years back, we started with 5 years back, we started with our Kharghar center, and in that Kharghar center, we were running very nicely. So we decided to do lots of efforts we took on that center, and we somehow managed to purchase it, and in last this thing so that we can sustain over there. What happened? Since we purchased it, we did a lots of investment in the interiors, and so that the therapies we can do more appropriately, and we can sustain over there. During the Corona period, what happened? There were some people who actually took advantage of it, and then they said, now you cannot run a center over here. We are stopping. You should not do your activities, and you're not supposed to. And because of that, actually, it was a very difficult situation for me. I had to seek a counselor's help for that, because it's a huge kind of a thing, a lot of losses, and already we're going through. And then a person or people who, rather than helping, they were trying to see kind of advantages of this situation. Then it was a lot of aggression in the mind, lots of rage in the mind, lots of stress in the mind, and what we were supposed to do. And my whole team was, with respect to the Kharghar, was in these things. So we started ventilating with many people. I started with my parents. I got different opinions. I spoke to the builder. The builder has some issues with that society. So what he did, "Arey, aap chalu karo, aap koi nahi, aap owner ho, aap aisa ho," something like that. So he gave his own opinion. I spoke to my uncle, and he gave his own opinion, these things. But one person, one person is a very wise person. My brother said, rather than asking anyone, let's go to a lawyer who takes decision in this particular field. And then when we went to a lawyer, that lawyer said the maximum authority in this particular issues is a subdivision of a registrar or something, sub-registrar or something like that. And that registrar can take a decision, and NGOs can be run in this particular thing, or therapy centers or hospitals can be run in the residential premises. So you just have to convert your meter and this thing. Apart from that, do not get into the communication with those people, and you just start with it and give them a proper notice and follow all the regulations of the society. Nobody should touch you. Now what happened when the authentic person we spoke to, last 6 months we were actually operating from a lot of stress because of that particular premises. And then when this person said, because he gave all the documentation, what exactly happens in the Society Act and all those things. Then we were relieved, and we took a chance. We took a chance, and we started with the Khargal Center last week itself. So what exactly comes over here is, when I was distorted, being the owner, being the n number of, being a doctor, being a respected person, I had so many thoughts in my mind, but I have so much of aggression, so much of these things, lots of things, but at the end, I had to come down, and I wanted a proper decision making. I wanted a proper solution for it. And I went to the authentic person who has seen, thousands of this kind of issues, and he has given, or he has experienced in those issues. And then we went to him and we got a solution for that. So the gist of the thing over here is, now we are following only those things what we made him as an authority, and whatever he is giving us the suggestions and solutions, we are just following it by understanding where we are reaching. Okay, by comparing where we want to reach in that particular sort. Okay, but he said no talks, no nothing, no communication. You just go to your premises, come out, and everything you have to follow the same. If you follow this, I will solve your problem. So we started following it. We have started following it. But over here now, I am not going to speak to any other third person who's going to give me some kind of a fear, and then I'm going to question that lawyer's abilities. And if I start questioning that lawyer's abilities, who's going to be in the loss? Please put it into the chat box. If I start questioning that lawyer's abilities, who's going to be into the losses? Is that lawyer is going to be into the losses? No. Is that other people who are going to the losses? No. It's me only, because I am doing something. I was supposed to start that center with a lot of positivity, but somebody else's suggestion has started getting more, yet I'm submitted to the lawyer, still I will develop the negativity every day when I'm going to open the premises and start the center. Every day if I'm at my another center, I will be having the preoccupations that okay, aaj kuch problem to nahi hoga. Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? But if I'm submitted to that, okay, jo bhi hassle se, I've given him money, I put the efforts, okay, I went to him and I'm taking the efforts to follow all the rules and regulations, then definitely if I'm following with the ethical and with the practical way, with the proper authentic person decisions, I'm going to be into the we can say the better place. So it's very important. A disturbed mind cannot be a good decision maker. So rather than that, be peaceful and then always submit to the person who's either more knowledgeable, experienced, and then definitely these things. But you can question, you can call him at night also, okay, I have this is problem, what to do? This thing issues are there, what to do? Ask those questions to only that person, because you only made him the authority. So what happens that if we go to another person, that he will be having his own opinions, and then definitely every person has his own ego statement that I am more important than another person. And whenever that person will try to show that kind of importance, and then you will start questioning your decision making of making somebody as an authority. It's very important. So disturbed person cannot take right decisions. At the same time, there was many parents, say that the therapist should follow what I say. But how much I know about the development? Nothing. Okay, I am having only expectations and concerns, but you should follow my words and then tell me, or definitely you can post it. What will happen? Okay, so distorted minds definitely will be having a lot of difficulties to take right decisions. They will always operate from the concerns, they will always operate from their fears, and definitely the expectations will increase, and definitely will not enjoy the process of development. Even though the child is developing, still you will keep questioning about the development, about your efforts, and about your authority efforts, that is therapist. And that is yes, I have seen the child is doing wonderful, still I am questioning it, and not to the therapist, to another person. If always if somebody, my father said you have to follow this, you have to do this, I will get the same. If I have issues, I will not take it to my mother, I will go to the father only, and I will tell him, Baba, you told me to do this way, I have these concerns, please rectify it. So it's more important. One more thing in terms of distorted minds and decision making. Too many discussions will never lead to a solution. I have always seen, too many discussions never lead to a solution. The solution is always done first, and then you can ask many difficulties. You can challenge that solution, in front of that authentic person, and then if the person is able to solve all the queries of yours, completely submit yourself and go ahead. That's very important. For next 3 to 4 months, that's more important till the goals are achieved. So that's more important, that even though I do a lot of efforts, and even though I'm putting a lot of hard work, still I don't see the child's development. Next topic is, with the due permission of the Psychology Association, this picture I have taken it from the test called CAT, Childhood Apperception Test. I felt this is available on the Google, so I've just taken it. So it's a taste based. I don't want to talk anything about these things, but we don't know what we don't know, what we are supposed to know, what we should know. बहुत बार ऐसे होता है कि हमें यही नहीं पता होता है कि हमें क्या पता होना चाहिए, यही पता नहीं होता है. So we don't know that what we should know. Okay, so it's very important that I'll just give a very nice example over here. About my personal example, that I was doing very good in my profession, and then every time I was earning and I was doing savings and all those things. But the time came to purchase a house, and while purchasing the house, I was earning very good, but I didn't know that I'm supposed to file my taxes at that time. I'm talking about 12 years back. I was supposed to file my taxes, and my tax file was not there. So I was not an authentic person to get a loan. So I was not knowing what I'm supposed to know, that I'm supposed to actually file a tax so that I can get a loan from the bank. So it's most of the time that most of the time there is a demarcated, classified areas which those people are experienced. They know all the aspects of those particular things, especially when after a particular experience, and that experience has a lot of data, और वो इतना ज्यादा होता है, okay, कि वो तभी आता है और तभी आना चाहिए when a kind of a problem comes, then उसमें से जो भी related data है वो वहां पर आना चाहिए, and that is called as a decision making. But what happens over here, we actually we get exposed to the Google, okay, that what all things the therapist knows, and we get exposed to the Googles, but we don't know what tool I'm supposed to use. I have hammer, I have plier, I have nail, I have killa, I have everything, I have cement and everything. How to use it? I don't know how to use those tools. Then am I going to create a house? Am I going to build a house? Not at all, not possible. So it's very important that many parents are suggested, or many parents I have seen, in fact, Harshali madam herself have a wonderful session at home, this thing at home, that she has swings. Maybe the swing was much better than what I have, the lot of therapy unit is there, but once I visited her house and I said, "Wow, it is a wonderful therapy unit." So she said, "I'm just doing the therapies." And I asked her, "Okay, what do you do?" So when she started doing it, I saw that lot of, I'm sorry, I've taken a permission, but when I saw that very important element was missing, that is how many repetitions I'm supposed to give. If I'm supposed to do the ball exercises, if I'm supposed to use the swing, I'm supposed to use any tool, how I'm supposed to use that tool so that I can get an appropriate effect. A ball exercises, suppose let us say a vestibular input is supposed to give on a child. A child is supposed to sit on a swing. Uh, sorry. Um, but I apologize for this. But let's go to the topic. Vestibular system has a particular input on the development. A particular child, when we work on a vestibular input, the child should reach to the threshold of the arousal, and then we have to stop it, and we have to put the child into the play where the child is matching with his development. But suppose if we go give more than that particular threshold, or we go less than that, then automatically the child gets immune to that particular input. And when that immunity happens, or when that resistance happens to that particular input, then when I'm supposed to do the exercise to develop a particular skill, that will not work out. For example, if I'm taking a ENO every day in an irregular manner, and I get acidity. So what happens over here is uh, I will develop a kind of a resistance to my acidity, but after some days, if I'm not having the ENO, I will develop the acidity. One more thing over here, I am having acidity because of the peptic ulcers, and I have taken some remedy, that is just taking a ENO, so that I'm just working on a symptom. So the child is having a flapping, the child is having a flapping, and the remedy is given on a Google that how to flapping can be stopped. So you just give a lot of deep pressure and these things. This flapping is stopped, but exactly what I'm supposed to do after that flapping, just after that session, that I don't know. So what happens, that deep pressure, the remedy will become the tolerant, the child's brain will develop the tolerance towards that remedy. And then later on, when the therapist is actually working on a child, then the child is actually, the therapist is giving the, working on a remedy, but still the child is not giving a kind of a appropriate effort, which is important for that child's development. So here, and then it's more important that the flapping was a kind of a demarcation for the lack of body awareness. Flapping was stopped, but the child's functionality has not achieved. So the symptom is also stopped, functionality has not come. So now the child will start doing other body movements which are more difficult than the flapping. Okay, so it's like I have a peptic ulcer, that's why I am getting acidity. So every day I was taking the ENO, but my peptic ulcers, the bacterial infection was not getting covered. So I kept getting a ENO, and then later on the day I was not getting ENO, I was developing the acidity. And later on, when the doctor is supposed to give me antacid, even that antacid will not work for my peptic ulcer, because my body has become immune to that particular medicine. The same thing happens over here with respect to the therapy apparatus also. The therapy apparatus is something called as a remedial toolkit. It has, every child has its own threshold of getting the sensory input. That definitely changes. One child, I have asked that you have to give him the swing for 1.5 hours continuously. The another child, I will say you just have to give him 3 minutes, get down, go to the functional level. So it's very important that how I'm supposed to use that toolkit, how I'm supposed to use that particular thing, so that am I using that toolkit properly, and when I use it, am I able to get that functional outcome properly, that the parent don't know what they were supposed to know, and then the problem happens that, even the proper remedies don't help the child to perform. So there the child gets the stagnancy, with the right sort of remedies. So it's more important that whenever we do something, it's more important. We should have a proper communication with the knowledgeable, or with, let us say, the professional. This is hazardous. This is hazardous because there is no medicine for autism. There is no other remedies are there for autism. There is no vitamins for autism is not a vitamin deficiency syndrome. Autism is not we can say the some kind of a lacking in the body syndrome. You know, autism is not proven also that autism is not a genetic syndrome. So we have only one thing. The brain has only one thing, that is, it is not able to follow a particular information. It is not able to process a particular information coming in a sensory ways, or in a different sensory inputs. When the brain is not able to do, we use this toolkit so that we can regularize the threshold of the auditory input. Just give you a more technical term over here. When I'm doing the swing with the child, the therapist, is directly getting associated, helping the child associate with his eyes movement. At the same time, it is also getting associated with his auditory input, because the vestibular input, he is a powerhouse of all the brain, which creates the arousal, alertness, and auditory modulation and the visual processing. So these are the four important things. One child may have arousal issues, the another child may have auditory issues, the third child may have visual issues, the fourth child may have some kind of a hypotonia, where we have to work on the postural mechanism by giving the same exercise. And over here, when the brain gets a kind of an exercise is a kind of a body movement which the brain understands better. Let me tell you, the exercise is a kind of a body movement which the brain understands better. I call that as a body awareness. The body awareness we are developing through a particular mechanism, and if that mechanism is used in a haywire way, then when I start dealing with a child, I say that this child has developed a splinter skill. A splinter skill means, how many of you know about the splinter skill? Is there any person knows about a splinter skill? I'm just putting the spelling, SPLINTER, splinter skill. Anybody knows about it? Sorry, I'm not able to post. Yes, the splinter skill is any skill which I have developed because of repetitions, which is not otherwise going to help me to develop any function. Okay, this is okay. This many people don't know. Okay, it is a splinter skill, which is any skill which is actually I have developed, but it is not going to help me to convert it into the function. The child can make 1,000 piece puzzle, but otherwise he's not able to use that association developed in that puzzle. He cannot use it to people, person to object, and person to place. He's not able to associate it. So that's, I will call it a splinter skill. The child can read very nicely, but actually he is not able to speak properly. He's not able to comprehend properly. He can read nicely. He has developed a splinter skill called phonics. The phonics way, if the child has nicely put the things into the codes and the decoding has happened and the child can read properly. But unfortunately, the child is not able to convert that word into the pictorial format. That's called the comprehension. So we say with a good reading skill, the comprehension should develop. But problem was before that reading skill, that is the auditory and visual integration was supposed to happen. And that didn't happen. And the mechanism went 2 or 4 steps ahead of it. The child was made to do the visual way and made to read with a visual mechanism where the auditory mechanism was not involved. And this particular child will nicely read, but he will not be able to comprehend, because comprehension is something like what I hear, I get converted into the pictorial format, and that's how I develop the visual imagery towards the incidents what another person is talking about. So splinter skills will develop if we are using these activities or these particular things in an inappropriate way, or in not in an appropriate way, where we cannot qualify and quantify the result. How many parents can qualify and quantify the results of what they are doing, so-called home therapies? Home therapies itself is a jargon. Home therapy. The home therapy नाम का कोई word ही नहीं है. Therapy should not be done at home. At home, you have to deal with the child's functionality. The home functionality, home program, we can say. Max to max, a therapist will try to give you a sensory diet that is called as what I did today is what I did today, so that I can remain with the same kind of alertness and same kind of attention. I can keep it there till the next session. So the therapist has asked the parent to do the ball exercises or to give him a kind of a swing and all, so that the next time when I meet him at the same level where I left him. Otherwise, there's always going to be a de-learning. I did something, he goes home, he didn't do anything, or he didn't get adequate sensory input, and then next day, after 2 or 3 days, I meet the child has gone back to the previous stage, his arousal is back to the stage where I met him day one. So it's very important that everything is very important. If the feeling is as same as if you try to touch any surgeon's toolkit. अगर आप किसी भी surgeon के toolkit को हाथ लगाने की कोशिश करो, the surgeon will feel definitely bad. Be it a general surgeon or any kind of a surgeon, because that is a toolkit. If you touch the toolkit of a cricketer, you try to touch the cricketer's toolkit, he will not allow you, because that is something technical thing which he knows what to do. Same thing happens with the occupational therapy only. So the terminology is over here. We don't know what we are supposed to know. It's very important thing. That's why yes, we lose a lot of time, we lose efforts, we lose definitely money, and we get very less results in that. Next point is decisions coming from half knowledge. There are so many people who are good in communication. There are so many people who can communicate well, who can understand very well, but communication and technical communication, these are two different things. If a communication, I am talking about a sympathy, I'm talking about empathy, I'm talking about my fears, my stress, and these things and all. But when I start giving a kind of a remedy, in a technical manner, where I'm not gone through all those 4 E's like education, examination, working ethically, and through experiences, those 4 E's makes a profession. And when you have not done that, then this fine motor things becomes only one word jargon, and then related lot of activities. But what exactly fine motor is, what exactly eye contact is, what exactly attention is, we don't go to the depth of it, and then we do the superficial things. So there is a lot of decision coming from the half knowledge. Exactly, I give my example over here that somebody told me you straight away go and talk to the secretary of the building. Somebody told me you just you talk to the corporator and then let the corporator tell the secretary and let him something like that. I know the corporator of that area. He knows me more better. But that was not the remedy. The remedy was to understand what ethically I'm supposed to do. I'm ethically supposed to go to the sub-registrar and I'm supposed to put that point over there that I'm not allowed. I'm doing this particular thing. And that particular permission came from him. And then he said, you will start, and any problem happens, we will handle it. So it's very important that decisions coming from half knowledge are always leads us not to the complete solution. The next is always operating from the inadequacy. Always when I see that my child is inadequate, always when I see he's not able to do this, and I'm not able to focus what he's able to do, then this is something which is very important, that I have to change my mindset. I must change my mindset. That inadequacy is very important for or very important to understand me inside me, where I am inadequate, where I am feeling lack of confidence, where I am feeling helpless, where I am feeling hopeless, and I will speak to only that person who's going to help me out for that. You know, motivations will come from every day, from lots of, there are a lot of people who are giving motivations on YouTube. I also see those some kind of videos, but that is a temporary thing. But when we meet a professional, when I met a counselor for my own problems, then the counselor made me understand what exactly is a hopefulness inside me and helplessness inside me, and how I am only going to work on my own things by using my own strengths, not by using my own weaknesses. So it's always important to, if we are operating from from our weaknesses or from somebody else's weaknesses, then somewhere we have to work on it as early as possible before touching the child's development. Let me tell you, before touching the child's development, it's very important, because then my inadequacy, I am transferring that inadequacy to my child, because autism child is very good in receptive communication. They understand your expressions, they understand your emotions, and nicely they can tackle you from their expectations for their own needs. But at the same time, if your expressions are not matching with their needs and all, then they are simply receiving your inadequacies and receiving your negative aspects of the personality, and then the child also becomes the same thing, like what we are operating, what fear we are operating from, and the same thing the child will start reciprocating. This happens most of the time. I've seen in the I spoke to this particular point in a senior, or in the child development in adulthood. Something happened, some fear is inside my mind, and my child should not do this, he should not do this, and exactly starts doing the same thing. This is the message, even though I didn't give the child, but my expressions give a lots of input to the child, and then child starts doing it. So it's very important to always, if the parent or if the therapist is operating from any inadequacy. Let me give you my example. Sometimes there are certain days that Dr. Nikita is also here, who is my coordinator, who coordinates my these things. I tell her, Nikita, please cancel my appointment. I am not into my best frame. When I say that, she will cancel all those things, or definitely, because I'm on that day, if I am not adequately practical or adequately rational, if I am preoccupied with certain things in my mind, I will not go and judge some other person. I will not go and talk to the person who's came to seek help from me, for he's the most precious thing. So if I am inadequately exposed to the parent, if I think, I sense that, I tell to postpone it at any cost. That's what I always do that. And this day may come once in 2 months, but it comes, and my therapist give me adequate time to come out of it, and then I go with the best frame. Sometimes it may happen that I'm not operating with the best of my adequacy, after one review. Suppose I have taken a review, the parents spoke a lot of things, I spoke a lot of, we discussed, but yes, when we are dealing with the parent is trying to transfer, or there is a lot of transfers of emotion happens in us also. If the therapists are there, they will understand, they know it. So when the energy gets transferred, yes, it's actually more important that I should give some time to myself, some kind of a 15 minutes, some kind of what we say, the diversifications from that particular thing, and then I expose myself to the next review or to the next consultation. It's very, very important. And so if I try to keep myself clean as much as possible, so that I will not operate from my inadequacy, or from at that time, if I'm distorted, definitely I will not expose myself to the child. The same thing happened in the 10 years back also. I used to tell the parent, sorry, I'm not operating from the best frame of myself. I will compensate it next time. Let me calm down. Let me these things. I'm a bit tired, or maybe I'm not a right person to operate with this child at this moment. We will take this session next time. So it is both the way. If it is therapist also and if the parents also, but somewhere both of us have to work on our inadequacies, because when we operate from that inadequacy, definitely the result will not be 100%. Yeah, this is something humor, I'll say. This is something the funny. I know everything without experiencing. It's in terms of in certain people call it as I know everything syndrome. So this picture is of Rambo. How many of you know this Rambo? I don't know. I don't know if you know it. This picture is of Rambo. Okay, ये Rambo का picture इसलिए है कि मैंने इसके movies, I was a fan when I was young, and I was actually I used to die to see his movies. लेकिन बाद में मुझे पता चला कि ये रैम्बो है, ये आर्मी को बिलोंग करता है, लेकिन यही रैम्बो को दुनिया की हर एक गन चलाने को आती है, यही रैम्बो को पैराशूट भी चलाने को आता है, वो हेलीकॉप्टर भी चलाता है विदाउट नोइंग व्हाट काइंड ऑफ हेलीकॉप्टर का वो मेड क्या है, मेक क्या है, उसको वो सब कुछ पता होता है. उसको धनुष्यबाण भी आता है, उसको बोलना भी आता है, उसको सारी चीजें आती है, weaponry things, he knows everything about weapons, so he can go and he can single-handedly do anything, but in terms of development, this only maybe कुछ गिनने चिनने वाले लोग शायद ऐसे रहेंगे दुनिया में, but there are many things that we don't know, and we have to respect that if I don't know, then I should how much I should know, so that whatever I am, I will not change myself. My own personality will not change, which is more important for my child, but I will know that, or I will delegate that particular thing to the somebody else who's going to help me. Okay, what happens is I try to get all the things, and then later on I myself don't realize who I am. Am I a parent or I'm a therapist? Neither I remain a parent, neither I remain a therapist, neither I could become a therapist. When I at home with my child, I start judging my child. I start doing those judging his sensory issues, and when I go to the therapist, okay, to talk about the therapeutic things, then I become a parent and I show my concerns. So automatically the role get interchanged, which is not appropriately done. So I know everything is not important. I know this much only, and this is the way that I'm going to operate from my child with, and what as a parent I know I should only know the parenting. Let me tell you, those people who know only parenting, they have gone out of this maze. Let me tell you, this last session, I have taken this maze. They have gone out of this maze, and those people who actually followed all those jargons and all these things, they're still roaming inside this maze, and still they're telling each other, no, you don't go from this door, you go from this door. But those who are outside, they don't want to enter it again. Let me tell you that's very important. So I know everything. Rather than that, I will know only that much, the necessities and possibilities, so that I will do my job very properly. People become successful, only those people become successful who give too much of attention to their deliverables only. लेकिन बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे होते हैं कि they are very much talented, they are very much good at their own things, but they know everything. बाजू वाले के घर में क्या चल रहा है, उसको क्या हो रहा था, उधर क्या हो रहा है, वो क्या हो रहा है, वो क्या हो रहा है, and those preoccupations of a lot of knowledge will not let their brain to develop that adequate attention, or I will say law of attraction. Let me tell you, let me get the word very correctly. Law of attraction will work only when I will work with my mind, body, soul and heart towards my problem. With respect to the goal where I want to reach, and I'm understanding where I'm standing today. I understood where I was yesterday and where I'm going to tomorrow, where I'm going to be tomorrow, that I know everything. Then only the law of attraction is going to develop or is applicable. But if I have a diversifications with, I know this also, I know this medicine also, I know this this therapy also, I know how to operate the swing also, I know this thing also, and then I am expected to operate from a parenting. I am not able to focus on that parenting because over there I'm contaminated with the techniques. Okay, I'm contaminated with the judgments. I'm contaminated with a lot of assessments. I'm contaminated with a lot of mindsets. And then I am not able to operate my own occupation. That is, I'm a mother, I'm a father, or I'm a caretaker, I'm a brother. I'm not able to follow that. That's the problem of this particular thing. There's, I know everything without experiencing. It's very important. So after the examinations, we know everything. So in professional, it's very important that I have done my education. I've given the examination. I know all the things. I've given the examinations for that. But later on, the 15 years, when those 800 kids I saw out of those let us say 3,000 ASD kids, 800 kids I saw from A to Z, I will say I'm experienced in 800 kids to different types of ASD kids from A to Z level. I will call that as an experience, But if I know only one experience of my child, what I do and what I did, and if on that basis, if I try to give, I do this, you also do that. I had camel milk, you also go and have camel milk. Or this is not right. Going to Delhi by flight is pathetic. Don't go to Delhi. Don't go to Delhi. Don't go by flight. So I will unknowingly become very much preoccupied negatively, what I have not experienced completely, and even if after, and then something comes in my mind that no, I have to reach to the meeting in next 3 to 4 hours, and then I will develop a lot of skepticism inside me that, what will happen to flight, whether I will miss the flight, or whether something will happen, or any number of things will inside me that I will not enjoy that journey. I will not enjoy the process of these things. So it's more important that that whenever we know something, and when we develop a kind of this things, I'll just give you a guideline on that. So over here I would like to add one. I will add one slide. A lot of times, we get a data from outside. From that data, when we discuss about that data, we try to get an information. When we follow the information, like, okay, we get a data, there is a sensory issue in my child, and then we try to seek a lot of information from the Google, from the people, from the parents, from the therapists, from the doctors and all, and we seek an information. After information, we implement that information. We implement that information, and that implementation give me a kind of a do's and don'ts that is called as a knowledge. So knowledge means I have implemented that information so many times that I got a knowledge. Okay, I got a knowledge about that particular subject. I got a knowledge about my own child. Okay, only my child, not the another child. Only my child. I'm knowledgeable about my child. I'm knowledgeable about my own relations. I'm knowledgeable about it. Okay, and then last is once you operate from knowledge in different scenarios. Okay, when you operate from that knowledge, when you operate your knowledge in different scenarios, then you develop a wisdom. So I am having a wisdom of developing my own child. That is about one child, and I have and a therapist may be having developed a wisdom of developing those 800 kids in different scenarios. Different scenarios. These are the different wisdoms. These are the different wisdoms. You cannot compare this wisdom with this wisdom. that I develop my own child, and I have seen 800 kids in different scenarios. Maybe a very severe to very mild, or maybe a pseudo autism to a who was not autism, but who was showing more different things. So there, when a therapist works, or when a professional works, where the parent works, these are two different wisdoms. So it's very important that when we follow when we follow this, I know everything, but I'm not experienced about your child. So it's very simple to sit on the bench and tell the another parent, I am doing this particular thing, you also go and do it. But after asking that, the professional may take the feedback, the quantitative and qualitative analysis the professional is supposed to take for these goals, but this parent just gave a kind of a knowledge, and later on it did not take any kind of a feedback from the parent, but what you did or what happened and how much the quantitative and qualitative analysis done, how much development has happened. This parent will never take, because now he's suggesting somebody else. In that phase, you get diverted. The parent gets diverted from the goals. So there is always important that you need to understand whom we are supposed to follow when we are distorted, what we are supposed to follow when we are distorted, what we don't know that we don't know that we are supposed to know, and adequately know, and necessarily know, but not everything we need to know. Okay, it's not necessary that it's very much important that whom we are taking the decisions. Is that person is going to qualitative and quantitative analysis do on my child? Is he going to sit with me again and he's going to ask me, okay, tell me what has happened now I want to give you another remedy? But so it's very important that all these things lead to a kind of a problem that is, I put lots of effort, and then that person also remains in the maze. I also, me being as a parent, also become in a maze, and we keep talking about, the problems and the lot of things which is not letting us know what is exactly remedy is. So that's the agony of autism, because what 14 years back I was seeing in this profession, and what today I see, there's a lot of changed mindsets. There's a lots of stressful things are coming out. Even though information is too much, even though the social awareness has increased, but still the stress has increased because of all these things which I discussed in to you. And this particular thing is not just like mere man mein aaya to maine bol diya. I'm actually working on this field, or we are dealing with this field, with these things, all these things which are discussed to you all, and we are into this discussion since last 8 years with my psychologist team. How to work on this. So it's very important. If me as a parent, from helicopter view, okay, from this helicopter, I see my journey, my efforts, my time and my money, where I'm putting, and am I getting the proper feedback of it? Am I able to drive the helicopter properly or no? If I'm not able to go drive properly, ask the person how to drive it. It's very important. But we need to see that our own journey and our own time and efforts and money, where we are putting, so that we can get the maximum outcome from our hard works. Okay, so this is all about this lecture today. So we can go to the question answers. I'm sorry, there's a lot of time, but these are the lot of different minds have different things. So I feel to cover it in one session itself. Thank you. I'll just stop sharing.
So can we start with the queries?
Yes, we can start.
Hi, good evening, sir. I'm calling from Delhi. I have a boy of 4 years diagnosed with mild autism. And last year he got admission in normal school, right, where the special educator is there, but it's not basically 100%, right? But there was a counselor also. We talked to them also. They said, okay, you just send it. But after that, what happened that that pandemic came, and then now the online classes are going on. So during the last year, right, we started to interact with him. Right now, he's knows the things. Right, he can speak, but not introvert. But basically, when we ask, then he can say.
How old is
He
the child?
himself 4
How old
years.
is it? 4 years. Okay.
Yeah. Now we are just confused that because he's not sitting tolerance is low, right? And then communication, when we ask only, then he say he's not speaking his desire. So what guidance we need, that whether we should move to special education, special schools or inclusive school, so he can get a guidance over there. Or basically we are just confused because next year is coming. Next year definitely school is going to open. So we are just me and my wife is very much confused, and we are going here and there only.
Right.
You can
Yes,
guide us.
exactly. We are going here and there. That's the last thing I heard. See, I'll tell you one thing. I would like to generalize this question to most of the parents who are listening to us. Lockdown is a period where the time was going on, the ages were increasing. Last year I was 39. Now this year, in this thing I became 40. So we become older. Okay, but our conditions didn't move ahead. Yes or no? Let's say any number of things. Same thing happened with the children. Maybe last year your child was 3 years, okay, and he got an admission in a nursery or a preschool, and then he was performing in a particular way. Now your child is 4 years. So now what the system is going to take him as a 4-year-old child, and they are going to assess him like 4 years, or they are going to judge him like a 4 years. Yes or no? Right? We need to understand. We need to assess where my child has gone, how much my child has gone to from the 3 years to 4 years journey. At the same time, what all delayed developments, which this one thing, and this is the only remedy. But after that, how much I have time next, so that I can develop him at the maximum, so that he can develop the adaptability in the new areas. He can develop the adaptability with the new people, because now our children are very much aware about parenting, or about this thing, because of our timing and all. So we need to start by understanding where he stands. Means what he has, what he's not having, what all social adaptability behavior he has developed. By understanding it, as taking it as zero level, we will assess कि wherever we are going to send him, we are going to assess the mindset, the body involvement of our child is required over there. We are going to assess that, and then we are going to judge whether my child is going to be fit in that environment or not. Yes, it's not about developing only with the child or assessing only the child, but assessing the environment also, where I'm going to help him to take him over there. So and then the remedies will come. Okay, then the decision making should come. So this is inadequate information that he was 3 years, but what was the social age he was operating, how many higher functions he had developed, how much is the social adaptability he has developed, how much is his skills have developed with respect to we can say the pre-academic skills, how much his receptive communication, how much is expressive communication, how much is his responsiveness or reaction time, or his visual perception or auditory perception is adequately developed, or body awareness is developed, so that tomorrow when he is going to sit in the class, whatever the expectations they are going to put him, is he going to follow it or not? Okay, so ये दोनों चीजें पहले देखना जरूरी है, and then we can assess the time period. Okay, today we are sitting in a February. Okay, and schools may start from the probably from the June only. So I have a March, April, May, and June. These 4 months. In that 4 months, I will keep a goal which will happen in a smart way, specific, measurable, time bound, realistic, and what I say, smart, as specific, measured, realistic, R for realistic. Okay, realistic is something like, okay, it's going to achieve. It's not going to my expectation point of view. उसने 4 घंटा बैठना चाहिए तो 4 घंटा ही वो उसको मैं यहाँ पर बैठना शुरू करूँगा. I will see what his strength is. He can sit for 10 minutes. Okay, I will increase the time to 15 minutes, and I will see to it that how I can accommodate that 15 to 20 minutes in that one session of the thing, and I will pull him back. So maybe I will keep a goal in my mind. I will keep in my A for achievable. So I will keep the things in my mind that June में उसने स्कूल में जाना चाहिए with his basic skills. But June, July, August, May, what I'm going to do, what I'm supposed to do, that I should be having a plan B. Like plan B से पहले I will do the assessment of both the child and the environment, not just the child. And then put the child and then force the child to get fitted into that environment. No. Assess the child, assess the environment, then identify the time lapse कि कितने time में मैं उसमें abilities create कर सकता हूँ, and then I will go for the next level. That is, once I sit with the therapist in May, okay. April तो April में मैं एक mid review करूंगा कि where I have reached in terms of sitting tolerance, in terms of attention, or in terms of understanding the things, in terms of social component, in terms of imitation, in terms of receptive communication. ये सारी चीजें मैं देखूंगा. At the same time the play development कि वो बच्चों के साथ match करेगा या नहीं करेगा, and then I will sit. If it is not matching, then we have a review it कि okay, we have 1 month. Let's ask the school authorities ki, okay, he has not achieved that much. We want to go to the nursery where he has started from. So always operate the child from his own strengths with respect to the achievable and realistic goals. Goals should not come from just like that. That they should come from the assessing both the environments, child, and the school when it comes to the schooling. I hope you understood.
Yeah, but again, my next question was that whether we should go for the special schools or not.
Special school
where we have special school classes as well as we have a normal branch also. So once the kid is ready to go for that, he's capable, and then we can move that to that branch or maybe division.
See, now you're operating from your expectation that I want to see my child in that school only. Okay. Here it's supposed to be rather than creating those bamboo based or those wooden pillars, I will see where my child is actually operating autonomously. And in that phase, if he's operating like a preschool child, I will send him to the preschool rather than opting him like a special child. So what exactly you would like to listen? My child is 4 years, but he's having some kind of a falana issues, and I'm seeking a help from the school to send him a special cell or something like that. Rather than that, my child is operating like a 2.5-year-old. Okay, and he understands the environment more better with the free play, or he can get merged with the free play kids, and there he's going to develop like a normal or typically developing child. He will get more associations, or he will understand that environment better. Then probably I will, rather than following my expectation and making him not forcefully but making him try to adapt him in that environment, I will operate him from the care model, and I will let him sit in the environment where he understands better. Okay, and then I will move ahead. I hope you understood right now, because special school is something, and it's too early to talk about a special cell and all. The child is not sitting in that class. That doesn't mean the child is inadequate inadequacy. We need to understand where my child has adequacy with respect to he can sit in the class autonomously. I'll tell you one word, all the parents, it's very important. Keep this word in your mind. Autonomy is a very, very important word in terms of functional development. Autonomy means, let us take an example that the child who comes to me for the writing assessment, and then I see the child is able to copy the words, but he cannot copy the sentences altogether. Okay, with supervision, he can copy the words. But when I ask, when I make him autonomous, he can write the words autonomously on dictation also, and without prompting, he is able to copy the letters. Then that means this child, even though he's 6 years, he's not supposed to sit in the first standard. He's supposed to follow the integrated approach of the schooling called, let us say, junior KG, where he's going to operate autonomously. Let me tell you that, where no help is required for his decision making, for his skill development, for his academic skill development, and for his social adaptability. That's more important, because if I operate from one more thing is, let's not see how many trains were missing. Education has no age bar, but development definitely has an age bar. If I miss out my child's free play attitude and social adaptability with respect to the free play, when he was 2.5 years or 3 years, he did not have that much. But now he has developed that much adequacy, then I will try to put him into that normal and regular environment. I hope you understood.
Yes, boss. Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
So
Yes.
we'll move to the next query. So we'll have last 2 queries for now, for today.
Yes.
The next query is by Miss Meena Vagela. There is a worry always that we are doing enough for our child. If we are following OT as per your guidelines, is there anything else we should look out for? Or can we just happily follow the protocol and ignore the vast amount of information coming from various sources?
In the battle of lot of these things, even though we are distorted minds, let me tell you, even though we are distorted minds, but there is a kind of a survival mind is always aware inside us, that at the end gets provoked, and then ask us to take a right decision, or take a decision. So if the child is if I am in my day-to-day interaction, if I'm enjoying with my child, if I'm if I'm able to transfer my abilities to the child, and my child is developing with those abilities, then I should not get diverted. Then I should keep working on those things, because now the necessity and the possibility started helping my child to do this. But at the same time, in this term, you should ask the therapist, okay, I want to go to the 3 months, okay, but whenever I keep the goals, I look at the child 1 year's journey. I keep the decision. I keep my benchmark for the 1 year, that I want to see this child 1 year at this level. Okay, let us say from Mumbai, I want to go to Goa in next 12 hours. So I give the parent the 3 hours goals, that in 3 hours you have to reach to at least Spain or let us say Alibag. So then after reaching to the Alibag, we will see where we have to go further, or we have to go. So it's very important, if the goals are working out, if you are enjoying your child's parenting, your child's development, then you ask the therapist, what you are thinking, where you see my child after 1 year. And if that particular 1 year benchmark matches with the assessment, the development, and maybe you're kind of what is not there right now, but you feel that if it is there, it will be fun, it will be amazing, then never get diverted. Always stick to that plan and go ahead. Okay, especially when the children are early stages of development, or maybe in a late stage, or any stage of development. Development is a slow process. We should give some time to that particular thing. One more thing, and very important, that if I am following that goal, I will follow that goal with my mind, body, soul, and heart. Then I will raise the concerns. Okay, I have these aspirations. My child should be doing this particular thing, and he should be doing that particular thing. So please tell me how to do that. And then the therapist should be able to tell you where exactly your aspiration is, and where we are standing at this moment with respect to his strengths, and how we can move ahead with respect to that algorithm. There's a development always happens in an algorithm. Okay, if the therapist is able to tell you that, you don't have to diversify. You have to stick to the plan.
Thank you, sir. One last question asked by a parent: does cold parenting involuntarily set in?
Pardon me?
Does cold parenting involuntarily set in?
Involuntarily
set in us, set inside the parents.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a direct process. वो बहुत ही in Marathi we call it suptavastha, or subconsciously it slowly develops. Personality never develops very fast. Personality develops very slowly. I have seen the parent talking to us when I was when before marriage I was this and I was that and this, and then now I'm very much I'm not speaking, or I feel like not speaking, but this thing. So then we have to make the parent go to that stage of the development, which is the original state of the parent. And yes, mind, we can say personalities cannot be observed from inside. That other people understands our personality. It's affect what we show. I want to enjoy a lot, but I'm not able to do. I not feel so doing it. So that's an affect. So affect can be judged by outside people, and then you have to then you have to we understand, okay, what is the change in my personality. So cold parenting is a very slowly moving process. It's a very gradual process. So we don't understand exactly it is whether I am towards a cold parenting or not. You can ask your parents, you can ask your friends, you can ask your these things. Do you see a change in 5 years or 6 years? Do you see a change in me? Or you can ask your partner, what changes have happened in us? And if that change is not helping you to deal with your child, then that I will call as a cold parenting.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thank all the parents and sir for this wonderful lecture. For any further queries, you can contact on the autism helpline number given.
Thank you, Sneak, for bringing these lectures and bringing this kind of a knowledge, because I don't think so this much of details it was possible from anybody or from me also. Thanks to the lockdown period, we are having enough time, and we can discuss all these things, so that the society can lead towards a normal, or we can lead towards a healthy nature of itself. Thank you.